Chapter 775. That's fine. Dong Anna said as she walked up to Qin Haodong. She deliberately did not sit down. Instead, she bent over and gave him her hand. Originally, her collar was already very low. As she bent down, the scenery inside the collar was undoubtedly revealed. Coupled with her two long white legs, it was incomparably tempting to any man. Dong Anna was extremely proud. With her experience in seducing men over the years, it would be easy for her to win over this handsome guy. But what she didn't expect was that Qin Haodong turned a blind eye to everything in front of him and just concentrated on feeling her pulse. After a while, he withdrew his hand and said, "Your disease is only suitable for taking medicine, not injections. If you're willing, I'll get you a house. You'll be fine in half a month." Dong Anna was slightly stunned. She had just had a physical examination a few days ago. She was very healthy. How could she be sick? The reason why she came to feel her pulse was to seduce the handsome man in front of her. So in her opinion, Qin Haodong must have misdiagnosed her. But these were not important. She added, "Dr. Qin, I think I'm more suitable for injections. Don't you men like injections? Just use that thick one and give me a needle." If the seduction was subtle just now, it was very straightforward now. Qin Haodong frowned. He had already felt the messy smell of men on this woman. There were at least dozens of them. How could this kind of trash attract his attention? "Miss Dong, I'm sorry. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. I'm not interested in injections. If you like it, you'd better go to a Western medicine practitioner." She was seducing him openly, and Qin Haodong refused her without hesitation. After saying that, everyone in the cabin focused their eyes on her. Just when she was extremely embarrassed, Zhao Meng came over with his bottle of medicine. "Miss Dong, it doesn't matter. Aren't you just airsick? I have medicine here." "Okay, thank you." After saying that, Dong Anna did not reach out to take the medicine. Instead, she took Zhao Meng's hand and walked directly into the cabin. After she left, Su Hui whispered to Qin Haodong, "Aren't you tempted by such a beautiful woman? Why is she beautiful? She can't even compare to you." While Qin Haodong was talking, he saw Dong Anna and Zhao Meng enter the bathroom of the plane together. He believed that as long as he was not stupid, he could guess what a man and a woman were doing in the bathroom. They shook their heads. "Looks like he's really sick." Su Hui said in surprise, "What are you talking about? Who's sick?" Qin Haodong said, "The woman just now." "Is she sick? Why can't I see that? He seems to be in good spirits." "Of course she's sick. Otherwise, why would I prescribe her medicine?" Qin Haodong said, "This woman's excessive hormone secretion led to metabolic disorder in the body, excessive release of sex hormones causing sex drive. Increase in glandular hormones." "What do you mean?" Su Hui still didn't quite understand. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "To put it bluntly, it's sexual hunger." Hearing his words, Su Hui blushed. She reached out and hit him on the chest, saying, "You're not serious again." "I'm being serious," Qin Haodong said with a serious expression. "This is also a kind of disease. If it lasts for a long time, it will cause hormone overdraft and the body to be deficient. It's fine if she takes medicine now, but the longer it takes, the worse it will be for her body." Su Hui said, "Forget it. If you tell her this, I'm afraid she will think that you're going to be a hooligan." Qin Haodong nodded. He really had no intention of treating Dong Anna. Just now, he had done his duty as a doctor, but the other party didn't believe him, so there was no need to chase after her to treat her. Due to the urgency of the situation, after the communication between the Department of Sanity and the military, at 5:00 in the afternoon, Qin Haodong's plane landed directly at the military airport closest to Oxhorn Village. When the plane landed, Wang Donglin, the deputy director of the Department of Sanity, was already waiting there. First, he arranged for the members of the expert group to have a simple working meal, and then he rushed to Wangshan Village where Oxhorn Village was located. From the heart of Wuxia to the southernmost part, from the prosperous capital to this small county, everyone immediately felt the huge gap between the two places. Along the way, they did not see the high-rise buildings that modern cities should have. Looking around, they saw the most primitive green mountains and clear waters. As the bus drove, it suddenly stopped. There was no road ahead, but there were dozens of villagers in plain clothes standing there. Wang Donglin stood up from the front and said to everyone, "Experts, according to the requirements of the higher-ups, we must rush to Wangshan Village today and start working tomorrow morning. However, the conditions here are a little bad. It's still 3 kilometers away from Wangshan Village, but there are only small roads. Vehicles can't pass, so we can only rely on walking." Before they came, they had already thought that this place would be very backward, but they didn't expect that it would be so backward that even the road had not been repaired. They had no choice but to pack up their bags and get off the bus. After Wang Donglin got off the bus, he organized the villagers to carry the equipment from the bus over with the reception staff. Before coming here, the Ministry of Health had already made the corresponding arrangements. The most advanced equipment had been dismantled into small boxes and packed up. After arriving at the destination, they would be assembled. Otherwise, they would not be able to transport it in. After everything was arranged, the group was ready to set out for Wangshan village. Wait a minute. With a stiff Wuxia language, a woman with a camera on her chest and a big bag on her back ran over from behind. When she got closer, everyone realized that she was a Caucasian woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a mountaineering top and a pair of jeans. The loose outfit could not hide her hot body, especially the high curvature of her chest, which made the camera stand up. The woman glanced at the box full of medical equipment and asked, "Are you the medical team rushing to Oxhorn village in Wangshan village?" Seeing the woman's clothes, Wang Zhonglin immediately became nervous and said, "No, we're just villagers in the village. We want to buy some things and go back." "You're lying." The woman pointed to the box next to her and said, "These are all medical equipment. I know them. You must be the medical team." Seeing that he could not deny it, Wang Zhonglin said, "Miss, what can I do for you?" "My name is Cathaway. I'm a reporter from the world-famous magazine Eye of the Earth. I heard that a very strange case was found here, so I want to interview you." As she spoke, the woman handed a reporter's card to Wang Zhonglin. It turned out that Cathaway had come to Huaxiao for a vacation. She had always longed for the Yunnan-Guizhou Plateau, so she came here to travel. She was also very proficient in Huaxia. By chance, she heard the villagers around her say that zombies had appeared in Oxhorn village and Wangshan village. As an excellent reporter, she immediately realized that this was an important news clue. She did some surrounding investigations and found out that there were not really zombies here, but a special case, so she had to rush to Wangshan village to do a news investigation. Hearing the woman's background, the people around were shocked. Eye of the Earth was one of the most famous magazines in the world. It was centered in Europe and had a strong influence all over the world. Wang Zhonglin was the most nervous. This matter was highly confidential. If it was really reported by this reporter, it would definitely be big trouble. He returned the reporter's card to Cathaway and said, "I'm sorry, miss. I don't know what case you're talking about and I can't accept your interview." Cathaway was extremely smart. Of course, she would not easily believe Wang Zhonglin. She shook her head and said, "Since you don't want to accept my interview, I can only interview the villagers there." After that, she was about to walk down the path. Wang Zhonglin quickly reached out and stopped her. "Miss Cathaway, you can't go." Cathaway's face immediately became cold. She said seriously, "Although you didn't say it, I also know that you are an official of Huaxia. But I am a reporter and I have the right to interview anything. If you dare to stop me, I will let the whole world know your barbaric behavior." This, Wang Zhonglin's face turned red. He was in a dilemma. If he agreed to let Cathaway enter the interview, it would violate the rules of the higher-ups. If something happened, he could not afford it. If he didn't agree and Cathaway really released the news, then the whole of Huaxia would face the pressure of public opinion from the international community. If it was a reporter from Huaxia, it would be easier to deal with it. It would be fine to say hello to their newspaper through the government. But she was a reporter from Eye of the Earth, so these methods naturally wouldn't work. Seeing the two of them standing there, Qin Haodong pulled Wang Zhonglin aside and said, "Director Wang, why don't we let this reporter follow our medical team?" Wang Zhonglin said nervously, "How can we do that? What if she reports our situation here?" Qin Haodong said, "It's not as serious as you think. Think about it. If our medical team can successfully eliminate the virus in this incident, it will be a positive show to the whole world. Are we still afraid of being reported?" Wang Zhonglin said, "This is a new virus. What if we can't control it?" Qin Haodong said lightly, "With the characteristics of this virus, if we can't control it, Director Wang, do you think we can cover up the fire?" This, Wang Zhonglin was stunned. This was indeed the case. This incident was similar to a biochemical crisis. If it was not controlled well, it would be a disaster for the whole human race. It could not be hidden even if they wanted to. Qin Haodong said again, "Well, Director Wang, let her follow me. I will try my best to guide her to report in a positive way." Wang Zhonglin hesitated for a moment. He knew that this matter was just as Qin Haodong had said. He couldn't stop her even if he wanted to. It was better to guide her in a positive way than to let her report at will. "Well, Dr. Qin, I'll have to trouble you with this matter." After making the decision, Wang Zhonglin pointed to Qin Haodong and said to Cathaway, This is Dr. Qin from Wuxia, a member of the medical team this time. You can interview him but you must follow him. If you agree I will allow you to go in. If you don't, I can only refuse. I agree. Cathaway readily agreed. In fact, she was just threatening Wang Zhonglin. She was not familiar with the situation here. There was no record of Oxhorn Village in Wangshan Village on the mobile phone map, so she couldn't find the location. If she followed the medical team, it would save a lot of trouble. The reporter from the Eye of the Earth suddenly joined in. Wang Zhonglin did not enter Wangshan Village with the expert group. After arranging the work, he hurried back to the Department of Sanity to report the situation to his superiors. After all, this was not a small matter. After this small disturbance, the experts and the villagers began to officially set off. After setting off, everyone found that the so-called path was actually not much different from having no road. As the saying goes, there is no road in the world. It is only because there are many people walking that roads appear. This path was often stepped on by the villagers. Although it was relatively smooth, it was uneven and rugged, and some places were very dangerous. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but turn around to look at Zhao Meng, but at this time, Zhao Meng was already panting like a bull and sweating profusely. His tongue was almost sticking out and he didn't look attractive at all. Useless thing. Dong Anna cursed and could only walk forward with all her might. Qin, your stamina is really good, Catherine said in admiration. She was full of curiosity about this Asian man. He looked gentle and weak, but he was stronger than the fitness champions in their country. The guide also said, yes, the young man is in good health. He is no worse than us mountain people. When a middle-aged man with a weathered face saw that Qin Haodong could easily follow him with a person on his back, he was full of admiration. Qin Haodong smiled and said, it's nothing. In fact, my girlfriend is too light. The guide agreed with his statement. He nodded and said, the girls in your city are too slender. With this kind of body you can't find a husband in our mountains. Every place had its own different values and views on choosing a spouse. In their mountains, everyone had to do heavy physical labor, so the stronger a woman was, the more popular she would be and the easier it would be for her to find a husband. Qin Haodong turned his head and said to Su Hui, who was on his back, with a smile, did you hear that? You have to eat more in the future and become stronger. I don't want to. Su Hui was very concerned about her figure. As long as she gained a little weight, she would immediately lose weight. She couldn't accept the aesthetic standards in the mountains. They talked and laughed as they walked. After more than an hour, they were almost halfway there. At this time, Zhuo Bufan, who was behind them, called out weakly, tour guide, let's take a rest. We really can't move anymore. After that, he and Zhao Meng sat down on a rock next to them, gasping for breath. The tour guide turned around and said helplessly, you can take a rest, but not for too long. There are many wild beasts in our mountains, such as wild wolves, leopards, and black bears. It's fine at dawn, but it'll be dangerous once it gets dark. Guotao rubbed his aching ankle and complained, what a lousy place this is. I won't come here again. Zhao Meng took out a bottle of mineral water from his backpack, opened the lid, and handed it to Zhuo Bufan. Director, drink some water. Zhuo Bufan drank half of it in one breath and returned the remaining half to Zhao Meng. Zhao Meng took it and drank the rest of the water in one breath. Qin Haodong put Su Hui down. The two of them did not look tired at all. They laughed and took photos. Zhuo Bufan was furious. He didn't know how this guy grew up. He had walked for so long with a woman on his back, but he was not tired at all. Seeing what he was thinking, Zhao Meng said, Director, don't look at this guy's pride. It's just that his physical fitness is better. In fact, he's a rough man. What can he do here? When we get there, we'll still have to treat the patients. Zhuo Bufan deeply agreed and nodded hard. In the eyes of returnees like them, people like Qin Haodong who had not finished college were rough. From the bottom of his heart, he also felt that Qin Haodong could join the expert group because of his relationship with Xiao Weiman. In the end, it was up to them to solve the crisis. While the two of them were secretly fantasizing, a scream suddenly came from the side. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw that it was Dong Anna who had screamed. Next to her, a yellow and black snake instantly got into the grass next to her. When the tour guide saw the snake, he immediately shouted nervously, "Be careful, everyone. This is a kite. It's very poisonous." After hearing the tour guide's shout, Dong Anna cried out miserably, "Help me! Help me. I was just bitten by a kite." At this time, there were two small holes on her left ankle, which had been bitten by a venomous snake. The kite was indeed as poisonous as the tour guide had said. At this time, the skin around the two small holes quickly turned black. In a short time the entire ankle was swallowed by the black color. Moreover, the black color did not stop. It slowly spread upward at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this time, Dong Anna was so scared that she was at a loss. She knew that the more poisonous the snake was, the less painful it would be. At this time she did not feel any pain in her ankle at all. At first she felt a little numb, but later even this feeling disappeared as if this foot was not hers at all. She hurriedly shouted to Zhuo Yifan, "Dr. Zhuo, aren't you a world-famous medical expert? Aren't you a returnee? Hurry up and save me. Hurry up and save me. I'm going to be poisoned to death." Seeing this situation, Zhuo Yifan was completely dumbfounded. Yes, his medical skills were indeed very good, but the best way to deal with this kind of snake venom was to inject antitoxin serum. However, this place was remote and didn't even have the most basic medical equipment, let alone antitoxin serum. Seeing Dong Anna asking for help, although he was also anxious, there was nothing he could do. "There's nothing here. I can't do anything about it. Dr. Zhuo, you can't watch me die like this. I'm not even 30 years old this year." Dong Anna shouted and suddenly remembered the plot in the TV series. Once bitten by a poisonous snake, if the poisonous blood was sucked out, there would be hope for survival. She said to Zhao Meng, "Zhao Meng, hurry up and help me suck out the poisonous blood. Then I'll be saved." The reason why she chose Zhao Meng to help her was that the two of them had already had a relationship beyond friendship in the bathroom of the plane, so they were much closer than others. Seeing that Dong Anna asked him to help her, Zhao Meng took 2 steps back and said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, Anna. This kind of poisonous snake is too poisonous. If I help you suck it out, not only will I not be able to save you, but I will also die." What a joke. Although he was lecherous, his life was still the most important. He would not sacrifice himself to save others no matter what. Seeing that he didn't help, Dong Anna scolded angrily, "Bastard, when you were having fun with me yesterday, weren't you afraid of losing yourself?" No matter how she shouted, Zhao Meng would not help her. He flashed and hid behind Zhuo Bufan. Zhuo Bufan was also very anxious. This time he was the one who led the team out. Before they arrived at the rescue site, they had lost one person before the battle began. When he returned to the Ministry of Health, he would not be able to explain it no matter what. Even if they finally got rid of the virus in Oxhorn village, they would not be able to make any contributions when they went back. Moreover, Dong Anna was here to gain experience. Her family was very powerful. If she really died here, it would be very troublesome. Suddenly, he had an idea and said to the tour guide next to him, "Brother, you mountain people should have a way to deal with snake venom, right? Do you have any snake medicine with you?" The tour guide said, "We mountain people usually pay special attention to poisonous snakes. We rarely get bitten. Even if we are bitten, we will go to the village to find a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. He can help us detoxify the poison. But it's too far from the village and the venom of the kite is very strong. I'm afraid that the little girl will die before I get back to the village. You better think of another way." Seeing that the tour guide had no way, Zhuo Bufan was disappointed. At this time Yi Liang said, "Leader, there are 4 doctors of traditional Chinese medicine in our team, and 2 of them are national masters of traditional Chinese medicine. They can definitely save Xiaodong." Yes. After being reminded by Yi Liang, Zhuo Bufan remembered that he also had a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine with him, but he didn't want to ask Qin Haodong for help. He walked up to Sun Fengqing and said, "Mr. Sun, it's a matter of life and death. Please think of a way." Sun Bowie said, "What's wrong, doctor? Isn't Western medicine very powerful? Can't you even detoxify the snake venom? Didn't you just say that our traditional Chinese medicine is useless on the plane? Why are you begging us now?" Zhuo Bufan was speechless. If it weren't for Dong Anna's life and death, he would have left. But now he didn't dare to, so he could only look at Sun Fengqing with a pleading face. Sun Fengqing ignored him and turned to look at Qin Haodong. "Little brother Qin, what do you think?" Qin Haodong knew that the old man was not asking him whether he could save Dong Anna or not, but to test him. He said, "According to the records of our ancient Chinese medicine books, all things reinforce and restrain each other. Wherever poisonous creatures appear, there must be medicine that can restrain each other within 7 steps. Although this is a little exaggerated, there must be medicine nearby that can detoxify the kite's poison." A look of approval flashed across Sun Fengqing's face. He nodded and said, "Little brother Qin, thank you for your hard work." Chapter 777. Hearing that she could still be saved, Dong Anna begged, "Dr. Qin, please save me. I'm really going to die. As long as you save me, I can do whatever you want." At this time, the poison had attacked her and her entire calf had turned black. Qin Haodong knew her situation very well. The reason why he did not rush to save her was that he knew that she would not die for the time being. In fact, it was very easy to save Dong Anna. There was a secret detoxification pill in his storage ring. However, the detoxification pill was made of precious medicinal materials that had been in the Jili Forbidden Land for 5,000 years. It was a waste to use it to detoxify the Krite's poison, so he was reluctant to use it. He stood up and walked to the hillside not far away. He reached out and picked up a green plant. There was a small flower on the green rhizome of this plant. This flower looked a little special, like a lotus flower that had lost half of its parts. Cathaway took a photo with her camera and then asked curiously, "Qin, is this flower the Chinese medicine that you said can save people?" Qin Haodong said, "Yes, this is a famous Chinese medicine called lobelia. It has the effect of clearing heat, detoxifying, diuresis and reducing swelling. It's the best detoxification medicine. As the saying goes, if you pick up lobelia, you will dare to sleep with a poisonous snake." It's talking about the magical detoxification effect of lobelia. Cathaway nodded as if she understood. Then she took out her mobile phone, turned on the camera function, and recorded the whole process of saving people. Qin Haodong found a plastic bag and put the leaves of lobelia in it. Then he found a stone and mashed it into mud. Then he took out the medicine mud and applied it to Dong Anna's wound. It was amazing. After applying lobelia to the wound, the black qi on her calf no longer attacked. On the contrary, it began to slowly fade down. Seeing this scene, Cathaway shouted at the mobile phone in her hand, "My God, guess what I saw? I encountered a magical medical skill in Wuxia. I actually used a flower to save a patient who was bitten by a poisonous snake. It's amazing." Sun Fengqing and Sun Bowie also observed Dong Anna's injury. The black qi caused by the Krite had slowly dissipated. Dong Anna's calf returned to its previous color, leaving only 2 teeth marks left by the poisonous snake. Sun Fengqing said, "Lobelia is the best for detoxifying snake venom. You can recover after resting in bed for 3 days." Seeing that her life was saved, Dong Anna breathed a sigh of relief. Her charming eyes wandered again and stared at Qin Haodong's handsome face. "Dr. Qin, thank you for saving me." "It's nothing. I'm a doctor. Saving people is my responsibility. Besides, we're teammates now. It's only right for me to help you." Qin Haodong didn't want this hormonal woman to stick to him, so he directly cut off his relationship with her. But Dong Anna didn't want to give up such a rare opportunity. She put on a pitiful expression and said in a coquettish voice, "Dr. Qin, but I'm injured now. Dr. Sun said that I need to rest for 3 days. You have the best physical strength in our team. Can you carry me on your back?" She secretly thought that as long as she could get on Qin Haodong's back, she could find a way to drag him to bed. Qin Haodong had to carry Su Hui on his back. How could he carry this woman? He said, "It doesn't matter. I haven't given you acupuncture yet. It will only take 2 minutes." As he spoke, he took out the needle bag, took out the silver needles, and began to perform acupuncture on Dong Anna. His first needle pierced the Baihui acupoint on the top of Dong Anna's head, followed by the Naiwan Gong and the Dazhui acupoints. He moved like lightning, and in the blink of an eye, dozens of silver needles pierced Dong Anna's body. Although the snake had only bitten her calf, some slight toxins had already flowed through her body through the blood circulation. Therefore, generally speaking, she needed to rest for 3 days and wait for the lobelia to slowly remove all the toxins. But Qin Haodong didn't have the time to wait. He used the silver needles to remove the toxins from the top of her head to the calf below, and then he discharged them from the small hole that the snake had just bitten. The whole process only took 2 minutes. Seeing 2 drops of black blood being discharged from the snake's teeth marks, Qin Haodong squeezed her calf until fresh blood was discharged and then withdrew the silver needles. "Well, you've completely recovered now. You can walk on your own." Seeing that she had failed to seduce him, Dong Anna could only glare at Qin Haodong bitterly and then stand up again. Cathaway excitedly shouted at the mobile phone in her hand again, "My God, traditional Chinese medicine is really amazing. A patient who was just bitten by the Krite actually stood up again in such a short time and completely recovered." Seeing that Dong Anna was completely cured, Zhuo Bufan also let out a long sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to bear any responsibility. The guide shouted, "Well, we've already wasted a lot of time. Let's set off quickly or it will be very troublesome at night." Although everyone was still tired after experiencing the Krite just now, they finally realized that this place was not only beautiful, but also hidden with great danger. They immediately forced themselves to cheer up and followed the guide forward. Dong Anna followed the team closely. Just now, Qin Haodong had used the green with genuine qi to go through her body. Although it was very short, it still nourished her meridians. Not only did her body not feel weak after being injured, but she was also more energetic than before. After observing her condition, Sun Fengqin came to Qin Haodong's side and said to him with emotion, "Little Qin, someone called you medical sage before, and I was quite dissatisfied. I thought that you were just lucky enough to find the prescription of the blood revival elixir and you didn't have any real ability at all. Today, after seeing your medical skills, I realized that I was a frog at the bottom of a well before. I was very wrong. I admit that I'm not as good as you in medical skills." Qin Haodong had always been a person who would repay kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. If someone wanted to pretend, he would slap their face. Similarly, if others were modest, he would never be proud. Hearing Sun Fengqing's words, he said, "Senior, you flatter me. You are the leader of our traditional Chinese medicine circle. My medical skills can't compare with yours." Sun Fengqing shook his head and said, "I've always been a man of my word. I've never been in the habit of flattering others. What I said is completely sincere. To tell you the truth, I just wanted to test you, but I didn't expect you to perform so well. Even if I personally treated this girl's injury, I wouldn't be able to cure her as quickly as you did. She would need at least half a day to recuperate. But in this case, if she can't walk immediately, the consequences will be serious, so your medical skills are much better than mine." After getting along with Qin Haodong during this period of time, Sun Bowie also put away his previous arrogance and said to Qin Haodong with shame, "Dr. Qin, I offended you before. Now I'm convinced by your medical skills." He had lost his temper in the clinic yesterday. Now even his grandfather admired Qin Haodong's medical skills, so he naturally had nothing to say and completely lost his desire for Su Hui. After that, they walked forward while talking about traditional Chinese medicine. Sun Fengqing didn't deserve to be the successor of Sun Simiao, the king of medicine. He had unique views on many diseases, which made Qin Haodong have a new understanding of him. The more Sun Fengqing talked about it, the more shocked he became. Qin Haodong's understanding and attainments of traditional Chinese medicine were far beyond his imagination. He really didn't know how this young man learned it. Before the darkness engulfed the whole mountain area, they finally arrived at their final destination, the Wangshan village government. The so-called village government here, in fact, only had 7 or 8 houses, all of which were made of large stones from the mountains. Although they looked a little simple, they were very strong. At this time, the front of the house was heavily guarded, and armed police soldiers with live ammunition were guarding here. In front of the house was a large flat open space about 200 square meters. At this time, 2 huge tents had been set up in the open space. Each tent could accommodate 10 to 20 people. It seemed that it was prepared for them. Fortunately, there was electricity here. A 200-watt incandescent light bulb had been hung in front of the government, which looked bright. After everyone arrived, Li Laojian, the village chief of the Wangshan village government, immediately came out to welcome them. He asked everyone to put down their bags and start dinner. The dinner prepared here didn't look sumptuous, but it tasted good. It was all wild animals and wild vegetables that were hunted in the mountains. These things were extremely rare in the city. In addition, everyone was really tired and hungry, so they ate with relish. While everyone was eating, Li Laojian began to introduce the situation here to the group of experts. It turned out that there were 8 main rooms in the village government, but now the Department of Sanity had set them as isolation rooms for these infected people. In order to prevent the spread of the virus that had not yet been figured out, no one was allowed to get close, let alone live there. Therefore, the experts could only receive the 2 large tents in the yard as a temporary station. After the introduction, he said apologetically, "Great experts, the conditions in the mountains are simple. I'm really sorry." Qin Haodong didn't care about this. When he had cultivated in the mountains, the conditions were much simpler than here. But some people were not used to it. Dong Anna frowned and said, "Can we take a bath here?" Li Laojian said, "We rarely take a bath here. When we take a bath, we have to go to the small river 1 kilometer away." Hearing what he said, everyone who had wanted to take a bath gave up the idea. Not to mention that no one dared to go at this time of the dark. Even if they dared to go, they would be covered in sweat after coming back from the 1-kilometer mountain road. It was no different from not taking a bath. It seemed that they could only overcome the difficulties in the next few days. They hoped to solve the virus here as soon as possible and then return to the capital. After dinner, Qin Haodong said to Li Laojian, "Mr. Li, can we go and see the patient?" Zhuo Bufan said, "Dr. Qin, it's too late now. Even if we see the patient, we can't do anything. Let's wait until tomorrow." Qin Haodong said, I think it's better to take a look as soon as possible. Everyone can know what's going on. Zhuo Bufan's face immediately darkened. He was not on his plane now. He was the team leader. This guy didn't take his opinion seriously at all. Li Laojian looked simple and honest, but in fact he was very smart. Seeing that the two of them had different opinions, he immediately said, It's too late. It's not convenient to go in and see the patient. You can take a look outside the window. You don't have to waste too much time. Thinking that he couldn't do anything from outside, Zhuo Bufan didn't say anything more. Li Laojian said, Everyone please come with me. After that, he led everyone to the isolation room that the township government had changed. In order to completely isolate this place from the outside world, the county government arranged for a company of armed police soldiers to guard this place. Except for the members of the expert group and the village chief, no one else was allowed to enter. Li Laojian explained to the armed police company commander in charge of the guard, and then led Qin Haodong and the others to the isolation room. They first went to an isolation room on the easternmost side. There was a 25-watt light bulb inside and the light was a little dim. Chapter 778. Everyone looked inside through the small window. There was a simple wooden bed in the room, and a little girl about 10 years old was lying on the bed. She was in a coma. Li Laojian said, When this damned Nyo Erwa got sick, the first person he bit was the second girl of the Zhang family. She was originally a good girl, but he made her like this. She has been having a fever since that day. At such a long distance, the others couldn't see anything. Dong Anna and the others didn't even dare to approach the window, as if they were afraid of being infected. However, Qin Haodong had the spirit. He had already seen the girl's physical condition. At this time, Zhang area was in a state of high fever, and there was a faint black qi in the blood in her body. It should be the so-called virus. Qin Haodong asked, Village Chief Li, didn't the medical team deal with the high fever of these infected people? Li Laojian said, How could it not be dealt with? It's just that these people's diseases are very strange. They have used all kinds of antipyretics, but it's useless. They can only be like this. Qin Haodong nodded, and everyone walked to the second isolation room. There was a woman in her 30s lying inside. She was also a villager who had been scratched by Nyo Erwa. Her symptoms were not much different from Zhang areas. She was both in a state of fever. They went to 4 more isolation rooms in succession, where the villagers who were injured in the process of stopping Nyo Erwa were locked up. These people were all strong men, but their symptoms were no different from Zhang areas. They had a high fever and their bodies contained black qi. They were lying in bed in a coma. When they arrived at the 7th isolation room, Li Laojian said, Everyone be careful. This is the damned Nyo Erwa. This guy is very manic. This isolation room was different from the others. It was originally the warehouse of the township government. For the sake of safety, the windows were equipped with steel bars that were thicker than an adult's thumb. Although Nyo Erwa had been tied up after he went crazy, Li Laojian always felt that it was not safe enough, so he locked him in this warehouse. Everyone was also very curious about this patient who was like a vampire, so they looked through the window together. Although there was also a bed in the warehouse, there was no one on it. In the corner of the room stood a sturdy young man. Nyo Erwa was originally a hunter, so his body was much stronger than that of others. After he went crazy, he became even more powerful. He was tied with a few ropes as thick as fingers to control him. At this time, there was not a trace of blood on his face. He looked like a real zombie, and under the dim light he looked even more eerie and terrifying. Seeing this scene, several female members of the expert group could not help but step back, and Dong Anna even let out a scream. Nyo Erwa was standing in the corner like a wooden stake, but the scream seemed to stimulate him. After a bloodthirsty light flashed in his eyes, he rushed to the window. Although all 4 of his limbs were tied up, his feet were extremely fast. His whole body was like a cannonball, and his head fiercely hit the steel bars of the window. The force of the collision was so great that the whole house shook with a loud bang. Dong Anna was scared to death. She turned around and ran away. The others were also shocked by Nyo Erwa's momentum and retreated one after another. Only Qin Haodong still stood in front of the window with a calm expression. His spirit had already seen the situation in Nyo Erwa's body clearly. What was shocking was that there was no blood in Nyo Erwa's body. Instead, it was replaced by thick black qi, which was also a significant difference between him and those patients who were in a coma. At the same time, this kind of black qi also strengthened his body. Just like the collision with all his strength just now, if it were an ordinary person, even if he did not die, he would still die. This chapter is not over, please turn the page. His head was bleeding, but Nyo Erwa's head was not damaged at all. It seemed to be harder than the steel bars on the window. Damn Nyo Erwa. After cursing, Li Laojian said, Dr. Qin, this guy is very strange. Since he got sick, he hasn't eaten for 4 days. Not only did he not starve to death, but he also became stronger day by day. I really don't know what evil spirit he has attracted. Moreover, his head is very hard. He often hits the steel bars here with his head. It looks very scary. Qin Haodong asked, Mr. Li, apart from these, does he have any other characteristics? Anything else? Li Laojian thought for a moment and said, besides, this guy is very interested in blood. We can't let him smell any blood at all. A few days ago, when the village was killing chickens to entertain guests, this guy accidentally smelled the smell of blood. He immediately went crazy and almost destroyed the house. From then on, no one dared to kill chickens here, and they didn't even dare to bring fresh meat to him. When they cooked, they went to the foot of the mountain and didn't dare to get close to him. After briefly asking about the situation, he returned to the station with the others. There were 2 tents in total. Su Hui, Cathaway, Dong Anna, and Yi Liang lived in one tent, and the rest of the male members lived in the other. Li Laojian also lived with Qin Haodong and the others. Before entering the tent, Li Laojian gave everyone a safety education. Experts, this place is not like a big city. This is a mountainous area. At night there are many wild beasts, so you must be careful. Don't leave here except to go to the toilet. But don't worry. There are lights here, so the beasts don't dare to come here. After he finished speaking, everyone went back to the tent. After a day's flight and walking such a long mountain road, they were indeed tired. There was no other entertainment here, so everyone lay on the bed and began to sleep. Qin Haodong was not tired. He lay on the bed with his head in his hands, thinking about Nyo Erwa's strange condition. After a while, he saw a figure stand up from the corner of the tent, put on his shoes and walk out quietly. This person was Guotao. Qin Haodong thought that he wanted to go to the toilet, so he didn't pay much attention to him. It could be seen that after this guy left the tent, he did not walk in the direction of the toilet. Instead, he walked to another tent next to him. Su Hui lived in another tent. For the sake of safety, Qin Haodong had been paying attention to the movements here. At this time, the door of the tent was also opened, and Dong Anna walked out like a thief. The 2 of them gathered together, held hands and walked to a dark corner next to them. Seeing their sneaky appearance, Qin Haodong knew what they were going to do, and he couldn't help but be speechless. After tossing and turning for a whole day, they still had to do that kind of thing at night. They were really energetic. Especially Dong Anna, who had already had sex with Zhao Meng on the plane and been bitten by a poisonous snake on the way, still had such a strong need at night. It seemed that her hormones were secreting a lot. Since he was sure that there was no threat to Su Hui's safety, Qin Haodong didn't have a hobby of peeping, so he no longer paid attention to them. In the dark, the 200-watt light bulb on the top of the gate of the township government looked like a small sun, and the light was very bright. In order not to be discovered by others, Guotao and Dong Anna walked to a corner at the foot of the mountain. As soon as they arrived here, Guotao reached out to hold Dong Anna in his arms as if he had been thirsty for many years. Dong Anna let out a burst of soft laughter. Bad guy, are you in such a hurry? How can I not be in a hurry? This chapter is not over. Please turn the page. Really? You little vixen, it makes me crazy to look at you. After saying that, Guotao untied his belt and began to lift Dong Anna's skirt around her waist. Suddenly, he stopped there as if he had been immobilized, with a depressed look on his face. Dong Anna was already in the mood. Seeing him stop, she asked in confusion, Honey, why aren't you moving? Guotao said in annoyance, You're on your period. The air in the mountains was particularly fresh, and he could clearly smell the smell of blood. What a coincidence. Dong Anna said, but she didn't mean to stop at all. Instead, she looked at Guotao with her charming eyes and said, Honey, do you dare to run the red light? The fire in Guotao's heart had been completely ignited. Originally, he wanted to find a place where there was no one to use the 5th young lady. After hearing Dong Anna's words, he was delighted and said with a smile, Of course I dare. I'm just afraid that you won't agree. How can I not agree to this kind of thing? I'm just afraid that you're useless. Little slut. You'll know soon whether I'm useless or not. As Guotao spoke, he pulled off the belt that he had just tied and hugged Dong Anna tightly. A few minutes later, his heavy breathing echoed in the quiet forest. The 2 of them seemed to have been hungry and thirsty for many years, and they didn't restrain themselves at all because of the unexpected arrival of their period. Guotao held Dong Anna's waist tightly and was galloping with all his might. Suddenly he found 2 lights in the forest opposite, 2 green lights. At first, because he was in a highly excited state, he didn't notice it. A few seconds later, he suddenly realized that there were lights here. These were the eyes of a beast. Thinking of Li Laogan's warning, he quickly stopped his unfinished work, pulled up his pants, pulled Dong Anna, and shouted, "Run, there's a wolf coming." In his mind, wolves were the most common in the mountains, but this time he guessed wrong. The beast opposite him was not a wolf, but a more agile and ferocious leopard. At this time, it let out a roar and pounced on the two of them like a storm in the night. Dong Anna was enjoying the constant pleasure, but when she heard Guotao's shout and the leopard's roar, she was scared out of her wits. She followed Guotao and ran to the tent desperately. As they ran, the two of them shouted at the top of their lungs, "Help, help!" They were really frightened. They didn't expect that they would attract a deadly leopard while they were playing. Qin Haodong was just a little sleepy. Qin Haodong was just a little sleepy. When he heard the two people screaming like pigs being slaughtered, he immediately rushed out of the tent. No matter what happened, he had to ensure Su Hui's safety. Sun Fengqing, Li Laojian, and the others also followed closely behind him. Even the women in the other tent ran out. Su Hui instinctively threw herself into Qin Haodong's arms. Everyone looked in the direction of the accident and saw Guotao and Dong Anna running over in a sorry state. It had to be said that people could stimulate their instincts at critical times. At this time, the two of them were running at an amazing speed. If they participated in the Olympics, they would probably win gold medals. However, because he was in such a sorry state just now, Guotao didn't tie his belt properly. While running at a high speed, his pants suddenly slipped down. This time it was fatal. The trousers that fell down were like ropes that firmly locked his feet. Just now he was running too fast and his body couldn't stop in time. With a plop, he fell to the ground and directly fell face first on the ground. Husband and wife were birds in the same forest. In the face of disaster, they flew separately. Moreover, they were just a pair of wild mandarin ducks. Dong Anna didn't care about him at all and ran forward by herself. End of this chapter. Chapter 779. After seeing the leopard, Li Laojian immediately returned to the tent to get the shotgun. The leopard was so fast that he didn't have time. In the blink of an eye, the leopard's front paws were on Guotao's white and tender buttocks. Then it bit the back of his neck. Feeling the ferocity of the leopard, Guotao was completely frightened. This bite could definitely break his neck immediately. The onlookers were all dumbfounded. Although the kite was also very dangerous, it was not as stimulating as the leopard. Seeing that the leopard was about to bite Guotao's neck, a black shadow suddenly flew out and directly shot through the leopard's head. The leopard's huge body flew 3 or 4 meters away and fell to the ground. After twitching a few times, it stopped moving. Li Laojian took out the shotgun from the tent, only to see that the leopard had fallen in a pool of blood. He turned on the flashlight and looked closer. He saw a branch as thick as a finger penetrating the leopard's left ear and the right ear. The whole brain was penetrated. No wonder it died so quickly. It was Qin Haodong who did it. Although Guotao had been making trouble for him along the way, he was still alive after all. He couldn't just watch him be killed by the leopard. As an excellent reporter, Cathaway did not panic when she saw the leopard. On the contrary, she quickly took out the camera in her hand and recorded everything. When she saw Qin Haodong kill the fierce leopard with a branch, she opened her mouth in surprise and cried out with admiration, "Qin, you're really amazing. Is this the legendary Wuxia Kung Fu?" Qin Haodong nodded slightly and said, "Yes, this is Wuxia Kung Fu. Qin, Wuxia Kung Fu is really great. I want to learn it. Can you teach me?" Cathaway's character was originally enthusiastic and unrestrained. She was so excited that she grabbed Qin Haodong's arm with both hands and kept shaking it. The swaying didn't matter, but her chest, which was already bulging up and down, bounced up and down. It was simply dizzying. Qin Haodong shook her hand gently, shook off her arm and said, "Miss Cathaway, our Wuxia Kung Fu needs to be learned from an early age. It's not suitable for you at this age." Cathaway said with a disappointed expression, "That's a pity." Seeing that the danger was over, everyone ran towards Guotao. The leopard was dead, but it was also lying on the ground motionless. No one knew if it was dead or alive. Cathaway took Qin Haodong's arm and asked, "Qin, how is he? Will it be dangerous?" Imperceptibly, she had now regarded Qin Haodong as an authority among doctors. She immediately asked questions in her mind. The other girls were not as open as her. Seeing that Guotao's big butt was still exposed, they all turned their heads away. Wang Aimin then asked, "Yes, Dr. Qin, how is he now?" No matter what, Guotao was from the same research institute as him, and he didn't want to see his colleague get into trouble. Qin Haodong said, "He's fine. It's just a skin wound on his butt. He fainted from fright. As he spoke, he lifted Guotao's pants and flipped him over. He took out a silver needle and pierced it into the Renjong point under his nose. After the silver needle was inserted, Guotao immediately opened his eyes and jumped up from the ground. Help, help. Obviously he had not gotten rid of the fear just now. Wang Aimin grabbed his arm and shook it a few times. Wake up. The leopard is dead. Is it dead? Only then did Guotao stop and look back. When he saw the leopard's body lying on the ground, he heaved a sigh of relief and his heart was finally at ease. But at this time he was really in a mess. When he was eating with Dong Anna just now, he might have been too engrossed in it, so the front of his pants was covered with blood. Fortunately, his butt had been scratched by the leopard and was bleeding profusely. No one knew where the blood came from. However, the two of them had come here in the middle of the night and even attracted the leopard. Needless to say, everyone knew what they had done. Wang Aimin was also very helpless to meet such an assistant, but Guotao was not his subordinate, and he had a strong relationship with his superiors. He had no choice but to say, "It was Dr. Qin who saved you." Guotao walked over with an embarrassed face and said, "Dr. Qin, thank you." Qin Haodong didn't bother to pay attention to this kind of person. He didn't even look at him. First he sent Su Hui back to the tent and then he went back to rest. Zhuo Bufan looked at Guotao and Dong Anna, and his heart was filled with anger. He really didn't know who sent this woman. She was useless, but she was also a troublemaker. In just half a day she had caused trouble for him twice. Let me tell you, restrain yourself in the future. Otherwise I will immediately report to my superiors and ask you to leave. Guotao and Dong Anna did not belong to the central hospital. His position as the team leader was also a nominal position, so he did not have too many substantive restrictions on them. He could only say this symbolically. After the farce, everyone returned to the tent to rest. The next day after breakfast the work officially began. Zhuo Bufan first organized people to assemble the medical equipment they had brought, and then began to test the blood samples collected from Nyo Erwa and several other patients to test the nature of the virus. At the same time he also checked the source of the wound on Nyo Erwa's body. Near noon he called all the experts into the tent for a meeting. After the meeting began, Zhuo Bufan took the lead to speak. Everyone, after our hard work this morning, we have confirmed that the virus in Nyo Erwa's body belongs to a new kind of virus, which we have never come into contact with before. At the same time, through the study of the wounds on his body, we confirmed that he had been bitten by a certain kind of bat before the disease broke out, so we inferred that the unknown virus in his body came from a bat. Yi Liang said, "This kind of virus is very troublesome. At present, there is no medicine that can effectively eliminate it in Wuxia, let alone a vaccine that can prevent it. There is no vaccine in Wuxia, but there is one in M country." A smug look flashed across Zhuo Bufan's face and he continued, "When I was in M country, there was a special case in a small tribe in Africa. After the patient was infected with the virus, it was very difficult for him to move. His arms and legs were like zombies. At that time, that person did not receive effective treatment, but the virus sample in his body was effectively preserved. After that, after the research of the Biochemical Research Department of M country, an effective drug has been developed for this virus. I just called a friend in M country, and he will immediately send the drug here by air. In a few hours, we will be able to completely cure this patient and complete the task assigned to us by the Ministry of Health." Hearing what he said, the others also became excited. If they could completely eliminate this virus and cure Nyo Erwa and the others, everyone would benefit a lot when they went back. In particular, Dong Anna, Guotao and the others hated this kind of primitive life, where leopards and poisonous snakes could jump out at any time. They couldn't wait to fly back to the capital immediately. Just when everyone was extremely excited, Qin Haodong said, "Mr. Guo, has the special medicine you mentioned been tested on patients? Can you be sure that it can effectively kill this virus?" Hearing what he said, Zhuo Bufan's face immediately darkened. "Are you questioning me?" Qin Haodong said, "I'm not questioning you. I'm just discussing the feasibility of treating this kind of case. This time it's a matter of great importance. We have to be careful." Zhuo Bufan said unhappily, "The person who developed this medicine was a senior brother of mine in college. He has a deep understanding of viruses. At the same time, he used this medicine in the laboratory to successfully kill the virus samples left behind by the patient. There is no doubt about this." Qin Haodong said, "Minister Zhuo, I think there are two other points about this special medicine that you mentioned. First of all, the survival ability of the virus in the human body is different from that in the laboratory. Some viruses have a strong vitality in the human body, but once they leave the human body, they will die naturally even without the use of drugs. For example, once the AIDS virus leaves the human body, it only has a few seconds to live. Therefore, this kind of conclusion drawn in the laboratory must be tested in practice. In addition, the virus of the African tribe is only suspected to be the same as that of Nyo-Erwa. It is not known whether it is exactly the same, so we should be cautious about this kind of special medicine. After saying these two questions, Zhuo Bufan's face became more and more ugly. In his opinion, Qin Haodong was jealous of him and could not bear to see him make a great contribution in this action. He said with a gloomy expression, "Dr. Qin, which one of the prescriptions prescribed by you Chinese medicine practitioners has been tested? What right do you have to talk to me about clinical trials?" Qin Haodong said, "It's different. Western medicine can't be compared with traditional Chinese medicine. The system of Western medicine has only been around for more than 100 years. Many of the medicines that have been formed need clinical tests before they can be used. But traditional Chinese medicine is different. After 5,000 years of inheritance, our prescriptions and medicines have all been developed in practice. The cases of curing diseases in the past thousands of years are our clinical experiments." Sun Fengqing also said, "I think what Dr. Qin said makes sense. It is still unknown whether that effective medicine can kill the bacteria in Nyo-Erwa. Don't be blindly optimistic." Zhao Ming sneered and said, "I think you Chinese medicine practitioners are jealous of our Western medicine. You don't have any good ideas about viruses. Seeing that Ding Zhuo has a special medicine, you are jealous and want to take the credit." Seeing that this guy began to slander traditional Chinese medicine practitioners again, Sun Bowie said, "Nonsense. Who said that our traditional Chinese medicine practitioners can't treat viruses? We also have effective prescriptions for antiviruses." Zhuo Bufan said with a cold face, "All right, stop arguing. I have carefully compared the virus sample in Nyo-Erwa's body with the virus sample in Africa. The two samples are exactly the same. There is no doubt about that. Now what we have to do is to wait for the arrival of the special medicine, and then the disease will be cured." Qin Haodong said, "Dr. Zhuo, the virus incident this time is very important and time is precious. How about this? Can you give a patient to me and Mr. Sun to try with traditional Chinese medicine? Maybe we can find an effective treatment." "Absolutely not. The patient is not a test subject. Every life is priceless. How can we use it casually?" Zhuo Bufan sneered in his heart. "After talking for a long time, you still want to take the credit." He added, "I want to announce a rule. Before the special medicine arrives here, no one is allowed to contact the patients in the isolation center." Sun Bowie said unhappily, "What are you talking about? Is it not the first time that you have used this medicine on a patient? Is it not an experiment?" Zhuo Bufan said with a cold face, "How can it be the same? This kind of special medicine is the result of scientific research. It is a product of science. It is 100% sure to treat this virus. It is different from your grassroots, wooden sticks and rotten bark." Chapter 780. Although he said that, he was mainly afraid of Qin Haodong's medical skills. Qin Haodong could even cure the venom of the kite in an instant. Maybe he could really cure the virus. If that happened, he would lose all his credit. So he made up his mind that Qin Haodong must not be allowed to contact these patients. Sun Bowie said unhappily, "You're abusing your power. Since the Ministry of Health asked us Chinese medicine practitioners to join the expert group, we have the right to treat the patients." Zhuo Bufan sneered and said, "You'd better keep your Chinese medicine practitioners. What if those grass roots and tree barks that have never been scientifically tested cause the virus in the patients' bodies to mutate? Can you afford to take this responsibility?" Sun Bowie still wanted to say something, but Sun Fengqing stopped him with a look. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Well, since you're so confident, we won't participate. It's not easy for us to come here. Let's take it as a free trip and go out to have fun." After that, he did not argue anymore and directly walked out of the tent with Su Hui. Cathaway was not a member of the expert group, so she did not attend the meeting, nor did she eavesdrop on the conversation in the tent. She just sat at the door and waited quietly. When she saw Qin Haodong and the others coming out, she immediately went up to them. "Qin, how's your discussion going? When will you use your magical medical skills to help these patients relieve their pain?" Qin Haodong said, "Zhuo Bufan is in charge of the treatment. He has developed a new treatment plan. If you have any questions, you can ask him." After that, he turned to Li Laojian and said, "Mr. Li, is there any fun place nearby?" Li Laojian said, "Go south from here and there is a Peacock Bay. The scenery there is good. There are mountains, rivers and waterfalls. We will also go there to play when we have a rest. Thank you, Mr. Li. Let's go there and have a look. After that, Qin Haodong took Su Hui's hand and walked south. Cathaway quickly caught up with him and said, Qin, what are you going to do? Your most important responsibility now is not to travel. You should treat those patients. Qin Haodong stopped and said to the persistent foreign girl, Miss Cathaway, I've already told you that Zhuo Bufan will be in charge of the treatment. A flash of confusion flashed across Cathaway's beautiful face. But why don't you do your best? It's not that I don't want to do my best, but I can't help. Qin Haodong said, Miss Cathaway, you still know too little about Wuxia. If you really find a boyfriend in Wuxia in the future, maybe you will understand what I mean. Where are you going now? Asked Cathaway. Didn't you hear it just now? We're going to Peacock Bay to play. Cathaway said excitedly, Can you take me with you? I want to go with you. Qin Haodong glanced at her and asked, Miss Cathaway, who did you learn Wuxia language from? I've always been very interested in Wuxia. When I was in university, I took Wuxia as an elective. What do you think? Am I right? Qin Haodong didn't answer her. Instead, he asked, Do you know what a light bulb means? That's too simple. Of course I know. Cathaway then pointed to the 200-watt incandescent lamp in front of the township government. That's the light bulb. Miss Cathaway, he's not the only third wheel. You are too. After that, Qin Haodong took Su Hui's hand and strode south, leaving a confused Cathaway. She didn't understand what she had to do with the third wheel. After being stunned for a while, she came to her senses and walked towards Zhuo Bufan, who had just walked out of the tent. Mr. Zhuo, I want to ask, when will you treat these patients? Miss Cathaway, don't worry. Today you will definitely witness the miracle of us curing these patients. Cathaway asked, But I heard that there is no effective medicine to treat this virus at present. How are you going to treat these patients? Zhuo Bufan said proudly, I've already got the special medicine from the Scientific Research Institute of M country. As soon as the medicine is delivered, the disease will be cured immediately. When we cure these patients, I'll ask Miss Cathaway to let the whole world publicize us. Cathaway asked again, But I saw that Qin has already left. Won't he participate in your treatment this time? Zhuo Bufan said, He is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. There is no good way to treat this virus, so we don't need him at all. Cathaway nodded again. She seemed to understand what Qin Haodong meant just now. Sun Fengqing and his grandson were sitting on a big rock in front of the township government. Grandpa, this kind of zombie-like disease is really weird. I've never heard of anyone who doesn't eat or drink and can still become stronger and stronger. Sun Fengqing still looked into the distance with a calm expression. You've never seen this kind of disease before. I've lived for so many years, but I've never seen this kind of disease. Then do you think Zhuo Bufan and the others can really cure these villagers? Sun Fengqing said, Who knows? Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Sun Bowie said, I don't think they can. Sun Fengqing glanced at his grandson and asked, Why? There's no reason. It's just a feeling. I don't think this disease will be so easy to cure. Sun Bowie said, If you and Dr. Qin take action, there may be a chance to cure them. They definitely can't cure them. It's a pity that Zhuo is narrow-minded. He's afraid that we'll take the credit, so he doesn't let us contact those patients at all. There are some things that don't need to be forced. It's predestined. Sun Fengqing did not look angry at all. He said leisurely, Little Qin is really outstanding. He's the best doctor I've ever seen in my life. He's even better than me. Sun Bowie said, Grandpa, you're the king of medicine of Wuxia. Can't you compare with him? No. Sun Fengqing said firmly, I can't see through Little Qin's medical skills. Based on what I've seen, he's much better than me. Remember, there's always someone better than you. The biggest taboo for us Chinese medicine practitioners is to be arrogant. You must learn more from Little Qin in the future. I know, Grandpa. Sun Bowie was now convinced by Qin Haodong's medical skills. In the next day, Zhuo Bufan had been waiting anxiously and looked at the path into the village from time to time. In his opinion, this was a good opportunity for him to make a name for himself. As long as the special medicine arrived, he would be able to cure all the patients here. At that time he would definitely gain both fame and fortune. Finally, near dusk, Wang Zhonglin, the deputy director of the Department of Sanity, appeared in his sight, followed by an assistant who was carrying a medicine box on his back. Director Wang, why did you come in person? Zhuo Bufan immediately greeted him. Wang Zhonglin said, This virus outbreak is a big deal. The higher-ups attach great importance to it. How can I not come? As he spoke, he took the medicine box from the assistant's hand and said, Professor Zhuo, These are the medicines flown from M country. I've brought them all for you. Zhuo Bufan took the medicine box excitedly and said, "That's great. With these medicines, the patients in the village can be cured." Wang Zhonglin said, "Professor Zhuo, are these medicines really effective in killing these viruses?" "Of course, this is a special medicine produced by M country. It's designed to kill this kind of zombie virus." Zhuo Bufan said proudly, "If I hadn't worked in M country for a period of time, no one else would have known that there was such a special medicine." Wang Zhonglin praised him and said, "An expert is indeed an expert. Professor Zhuo, you've made a great contribution this time." Zhuo Bufan said proudly, "It's nothing. This is what I should do. Isn't there a saying that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility? As the best expert professor in Wuxia, I naturally have the responsibility to do something for the people." After that, he said to Zhao Meng, who was next to him, "Immediately organize the members of our expert group and go to treat the patients now." Zhao Meng agreed and went to call them. Soon Wang Aimin, Yi Liang, Dong Anna and the others were all called over, but Sun Fengqing and Sun Bowie were not called. Looking at these people in front of him, Wang Zhonglin said in surprise, "Professor Zhuo, I remember that there are 10 people in our expert group. Why are there only 6 now?" Zhuo Bufan said, "Director Wang, to tell you the truth, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners didn't make any contribution to the work of the expert group this time, so there's no need to call them. Especially that little doctor surnamed Qin, he took his girlfriend out to play in the morning. It's useless to call him a doctor who doesn't care about the patients at all. Director Wang, you know the situation in Wuxia. Some people don't have any real skills at all. They come here to be gilded." Zhao Meng added. He was really thick-skinned. He was supposed to be gilded, but he insisted on putting the hat on Qin Haodong. As a man in the officialdom, Wang Zhonglin naturally understood what Zhuo Bufan meant. Of course, he would not offend the great expert in front of him for a few traditional Chinese medicine practitioners he had only met once. However, he secretly shook his head in his heart. Young people nowadays were really unreasonable. They had given up such a good opportunity. When the patients here were cured, Qin Haodong would probably not get any benefits at all. He had wasted such a good opportunity. While talking, they came to the front of the isolation room. In order to make his medicine work quickly, Zhuo Bufan deliberately chose a particularly strong infected person. With good physical fitness, his own recovery ability would naturally be good. In addition, with the special medicine in his hand, he would definitely be able to kill these viruses as soon as possible. The selected villager was called Zhang Dezhuang, and he was famous for his strength in the village. When Yo Erwa got sick that day, he was the first to go forward to stop him. He was accidentally scratched on the arm and eventually became infected. In order to prevent infection, Zhuo Bufan asked all the members of the expert team to put on protective clothing. Then he asked Li Laojian to open the big lock on the door of the isolation room, and they walked in together. Wang Zhonglin and Cathaway were not medical staff, so they did not enter the isolation room. According to Zhuo Bufan's request, they waited outside to witness the moment of a miracle. After entering the room, Zhuo Bufan personally opened the medicine box and took out the special medicine inside. After making it, he slowly injected it into Zhang Dezhuang's arm. Zhao Meng held the camera and filmed at the side. According to Zhuo Bufan's request, he wanted to record the moment of meritorious service. Seeing that all the pink medicine was injected into Zhang Dezhuang's arm, everyone's eyes were focused on Zhang Dezhuang, waiting for the moment of success. The fever is gone, the fever is gone. 5 minutes later, Zhang Dezhuang, who had been in a state of high fever, finally went down. Guo said respectfully, "Professor Zhuo, your special medicine is really effective." Zhao Meng also said, "Of course, who is our director? He is the professor with the best medical skills in Wuxia." Zhuo Bufan secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and his face became more and more proud. It seemed that he had really succeeded this time. Chapter 781. All right, he's already awake. Director, your medicine is really amazing. It's really effective. While recording, Zhao Meng tried his best to flatter Zhuo Bufan. He did not notice the strange look in Zhang Dezhuang's eyes at all. On the other hand, after the incident with the kite and the leopard, Dong Anna seemed to have become extremely vigilant. She took 2 steps back to the door and said, "Why do I feel that something is wrong?" "What's wrong?" "The fever has subsided and he has woken up." As Zhao Meng spoke, he suddenly saw 2 big blood-red eyes appear on the phone screen. Zhang Dezhuang jumped out of bed. His limbs looked extremely stiff, his face was pale and his eyes were bloodshot. He was no different from the zombies in the TV series. After Li Laojian opened the door of the isolation room, he did not leave. He also wanted to see how these experts treated the disease. After seeing Zhang Dazhuang's reaction, he immediately shouted at the top of his lungs, "Run, Zhang Dazhuang is crazy." After that, he was the first to run out of the isolation room. After the incident with Nyo Erwa, he was very clear about the situation of people going crazy after being infected with the virus. He was the first to run away, followed by Dong Anna. The others also reacted and ran out of the door quickly. This was also because they reacted in time and bought some time to escape. When they ran out, Zhang Dezhuang had completely entered a state of madness. He let out a strange roar and jumped to the door. Although his legs could not be bent, his speed was extremely fast. With a tap of his feet on the ground, he could jump 2 or 3 meters away. Cathaway and Wang Zhonglin were guarding outside the door. They did not know what was going on inside, especially Cathaway. She had already prepared the camera in her hand and was waiting for Zhuo Bufan to come out for a special interview after he cured the patient. But she did not expect that these people would come out too fast. Before she could react, they had already run dozens of meters away. When she saw Zhang Dezhuang following closely behind, she understood what was going on. This time, not only did the treatment not succeed, but it also made the infected person enter a state of madness in advance. Cathaway's reaction was not slow. She threw down the camera and ran away, but Zhang Dezhuang, who was crazy, was too fast. After jumping a few times, he came behind her and reached out to grab her neck. He ground his white teeth so hard that they were chattering, and his eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. Even though Cathaway had seen a lot over the years, she had never seen such a terrifying situation. She was so scared that she let out a scream and even closed her eyes, not daring to see what would happen next. The other people around were also scared silly, especially Wang Zhonglin. The person in front of him was a reporter from Eye of the Earth. If anything happened to him in Wuxia, the higher-ups would definitely hold him accountable. At this time he wanted to strangle Zhuo Bufan to death. What was this bullshit expert doing? Not only did he not cure the patient, but he also made the patient crazy in advance. At this critical moment, Cathaway suddenly felt her waist being wrapped around by a powerful arm. Her body retreated at high speed, and Zhang Dazhuang's 2 big hands with black hair caught nothing. After escaping death, Cathaway opened her eyes and saw a handsome face behind her. It was Qin Haodong who was back. Qin Haodong also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he came back in time. Zhang Dezhuang failed to catch Cathaway. The red light in his eyes flashed, and he jumped towards Qin Haodong and Zhuo Bufan again. At this time, Li Laozhen had already gathered more than a dozen villagers. He held a rope in his hand and shouted to the people next to him, "Everyone hurry up and tie Zhang Dezhuang up." 5 days ago, when Nyo Erwa went crazy, everyone used this method to subdue him. This chapter is not over. Please turn the page. But it was different now. At that time, everyone did not know how terrible this virus was, so they rushed forward. Now the injured villagers were all lying in the isolation room, and their lives were uncertain. Everyone knew very well that as long as they were scratched by the monster in front of them, they would be crippled. Therefore, even though Li Laozhen shouted happily, none of the villagers dared to pounce on him. Seeing this situation, Qin Haodong protected Cathaway behind him and shouted to Li Laozhen, "Throw the rope over here." If this was a real zombie, it would be very easy to deal with it. As long as he took out the Shenyuan sword, he could cut her in half. Unfortunately, this was a villager infected with the virus, so he could not kill her. Li Laozhen reacted quickly. When he heard the shout, he directly threw the rope in his hand over. Qin Haodong reached back and caught the rope. At this time, Zhang Dezhuang happened to be in front of him. He raised his leg and kicked Zhang Dezhuang in the chest, directly knocking him to the ground. He released an invisible force to press Zhang Dezhuang to the ground, making him unable to move at all. Then the rope in his hand flew out as if it was alive and began to quickly wrap around Zhang Dezhuang's body. In the blink of an eye, it was tightly tied up. Although Zhang Dezhuang kept roaring and his eyes flashed with red light, he was tied up by the rope and his ability to move was limited. He could only be thrown back into the isolation room by Qin Haodong. Li Laozhen took the big lock next to him and locked the door of the isolation room again. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Dr. Qin." Cathaway was the first to come to Qin Haodong's side. She looked at him with stars in her eyes. If it hadn't been for this Wuxia man, she might have become this kind of zombie-like monster. Therefore she was full of gratitude to Qin Haodong. At the same time, she also had an inexplicable feeling in her heart. It seemed that it was not an accident that the hero saved the beauty and then got her back. Women were born with a kind of hero worship complex. If this kind of complex was coupled with the gratitude after being saved, it would become a hot love as long as it was slightly catalyzed. Qin Haodong just nodded with a smile and did not say much, which made Cathaway a little disappointed. Thank you, Dr. Qin. Thank you so much. The second person to run over to thank him was Wang Zhonglin. He was the highest-ranking administrative official present. If today's matter became serious, he would be the most responsible. He might not be able to keep the hat that he had endured for so many years. Therefore he was the most worried just now. He was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, Qin Haodong appeared in time and subdued the crazy Zhang Dezhuang. It doesn't matter. It's nothing. Qin Haodong asked doubtfully, Director Wang, what the hell is going on? Why did the patient suddenly go crazy and rush out of the isolation room? Wang Zhonglin turned around and asked Zhuo Bufan, who was hiding aside, Mr. Zhuo, it's time for you to give us an explanation. Didn't you say that this medicine is absolutely effective? Why didn't it cure the virus of the infected people? On the contrary, it made them go crazy in advance. What the hell is going on? According to the calculation of the time when Nyo Erwa went crazy, it would take at least 1 day for these villagers to enter the second stage of the disease. Today, Zhang Dezhuang must have been stimulated by the medicinal liquid injected by Zhuo Bufan and went crazy in advance. Zhuo Bufan said with sweat all over his head, I don't know what's going on. This medicine should be effective. After causing such a big trouble, he was no longer as proud and high-spirited as he had been just now. The lackeys next to him also hid far away from him, as if they were afraid of being involved in the responsibility. Wang Zhonglin said in a cold voice, Mr. Zhuo, I will report what happened here truthfully and ask the Ministry of Health to set up a new team of experts. After he said that, several members of the expert group became excited. This chapter is not over. Please turn the page. If they were really sent back to the Ministry of Health by Wang Zhonglin, not only would they not get any credit, but they would also be severely punished. Guotao, Xiaomeng, Dong Anna, and the others were even more regretful. They had been living well in the capital. Why did they have to come here? Now, instead of being gilded, they were covered in sh*. Zhuo Bufan's lips moved a few times, but he did not say a word. Today's trouble was caused by him. If it was really reported to the Ministry of Health, he would be the one to bear the greatest responsibility. He was afraid that the contract he had just received would be terminated. At this moment, Qin Haodong said, Director Wang, in fact, there's no need to do this. Our team is good. Although we haven't been able to cure this virus for the time being, it's only Western medicine that has failed. We Chinese medicine practitioners haven't treated it yet. Sun Bowie also said, Yes, Director Wang, some people don't let us Chinese medicine practitioners contact these patients at all in order to seize the credit. If we treat them, the result may be different. At the meeting this morning, Dr. Qin mentioned that this kind of special medicine that has not been tested in clinical practice was not reliable at all, but Director Zhuo didn't listen and forbade us Chinese medicine practitioners from contacting these patients. He said that he was afraid that our Chinese medicine practitioners would mess up the virus in the patients and cause the virus to mutate. As a result, we didn't do anything but they mutated the virus themselves. Wang Zhonglin looked at Zhuo Bufan sharply and asked, Mr. Zhuo, is that true? After being exposed in public, Zhuo Bufan felt that his face was burning, as if he had been slapped dozens of times. He couldn't answer this question, so he could only lower his head deeply and almost put his head in his pants. Qin Haodong said to Wang Zhonglin, Director Wang, there are 4 Chinese medicine practitioners in the expert group set up by the Ministry of Health this time, which shows that the Ministry of Health attaches great importance to us. Please give us another day. If we can't come up with an effective treatment plan within 1 day, you can report it to the higher-ups. Is that okay? Okay, Dr. Qin, I'll listen to you. If there is no effective treatment plan by this time tomorrow, I will apply for a new expert group. Wang Zhonglin agreed directly. On the one hand, he felt that what Qin Haodong said made sense, and on the other hand he was grateful for Qin Haodong's help just now. After getting his consent, Qin Haodong said to Li Laozhen, Mr. Li, open the door of the isolation room now. I'll go in and feel the patient's pulse. Although he could see the general condition of these people through the Qi observation skill from outside, this time it was a matter of great importance, so it was more accurate to observe the patient at a close distance. Li Laozhen said, Dr. Qin, which one do you want to see first? Qin Haodong said, Nyo Erwa's condition is the most serious. Open his isolation room first. I want to go in and have a look. Li Laozhen said worriedly, Dr. Qin, can you do it? Although this guy is tied up, he is very manic. Don't worry, I'm here. He'll be fine. Li Laozhen thought of the scene where Qin Haodong had just subdued Zhang Dezhuang, so he did not say anything more. He took out the key and opened the door of Niu Erwa's room. Just as Qin Haodong was about to go in, Sun Fengqing said, "Dr. Qin, count me in. Maybe I can help you." Qin Haodong frowned slightly and said, "Mr. Li, it's very dangerous here. Why don't I come alone?" He had the protective aura formed by greenwood genuine qi, which could prevent all kinds of virus infection. It was more effective than the anti-chemical suit. Sun Fengqing was just an ordinary person. If he met the manic Niu Erwa, he might really be infected with the virus. Sun Fengqing smiled indifferently and said, "Dr. Qin is not afraid, so why should I be afraid? If I can't even do this, why should I be a doctor?" End of this chapter. Chapter 782. Hearing this, Qin Haodong nodded secretly. This old man was indeed the successor of the king of medicine. He did have the demeanor of a doctor. The others also secretly admired him. The character of the two Chinese medicine practitioners in front of them had conquered everyone. Compared with Zhuo Bufan, a dirty person, he seemed too small. Qin Haodong said, "Well, old master son, let's go in together." Yi Liang said, "You two, for the sake of safety, you'd better put on protective suits." Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "I don't need them." Sun Fengqing said, "This disease has been confirmed to be transmitted through the blood. There's no need to be so nervous. I don't need to wear them either." After that, the two of them opened the door of the isolation room and walked in. It was strange that Niu Erwa, who was originally restless, felt a little scared when he saw Qin Haodong. He slowly retreated and hid in the corner. Qin Haodong grabbed the rope on his body, lifted him up and threw him on the bed. Although Niu Erwa was violent, he instinctively felt the powerful aura on Qin Haodong. He still did not dare to move and lay on the bed obediently like a wooden stake. Qin Haodong and Sun Fengqing began to feel Niu Erwa's pulse on both sides. After a while they exchanged wrists and felt the pulse again. 5 minutes later, the two of them looked at each other and seemed to have learned something. After that, they left the isolation room and asked Li Laozhen to lock it again. Then they opened Zhang Dazhuang's isolation room. About half an hour later, they checked on all the patients in the 7 isolation rooms and then retreated. It was late at night, but the two of them did not return to the tent. Instead, they went to a big stone in front of the village and sat down. Qin Haodong took the lead and said, "Old master, what do you think of these people's conditions? Are you testing this old man?" Sun Fengqing smiled and said, "We Chinese medicine practitioners don't talk about viruses. Judging from the pulse just now, these people are all invaded by external evil. Niu Erwa's condition has finally reached the point of no cure. Next is Zhang Dezhuang, who is also invaded by external evil. I can't do anything about these two people." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Mr. Sun is right. These people are all invaded by external evil, which is what Western medicine calls a virus. Zhang Dezhuang was the first to be infected with the virus, which has already penetrated deep into his bone marrow. This kind of virus can not only make people behave like zombies, but also greatly stimulate people's potential. That's why they are so powerful without eating or drinking for many days. Excessive stimulation of the human body's potential will consume people's vitality. According to the current situation, they can live for 10 days at most. Zhang Dazhuang's condition is somewhat better, but he has entered the second stage of the virus outbreak, and there is no cure." Sun Fengqing sighed and said, "It's all Zhuo Bufan's fault for being arrogant and greedy. That's why Zhang Dezhuang was harmed. Otherwise he would have had a chance to be saved." Haodong of Qinov said, "Master." Sun Fengqing said, "The others have not been infected for a long time, and the poison is not deep. If the medicine is appropriate, there is still a chance to cure them." Qin Haodong nodded secretly. It seemed that the king of medicine's reputation was not just for show. Sun Fengqing said, "Little Qin, you don't have to keep me guessing. I don't believe that you can't see this." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Mr. Sun is right. Except for Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang, the others are not deeply poisoned. If we use the prescription to strengthen the body and get rid of evil and purify the blood, we can really cure them." Sun Fengqing said, "It seems that we have the same idea. Let's each write a prescription and then compare it, okay?" "Okay." After that, Qin Haodong went back to the tent and took a pen and paper. Everyone wrote down their own prescriptions. Sun Fengqing put down the pen, took his prescription and said, "Let's look at this first. This is a prescription left by my ancestors. It is specially used to treat this kind of disease." Qin Haodong looked at the prescription and saw that it was written, Angelica de Hurica 3G, Angelica 5G, Shuanghua 6G. He thought about it for a while and said, "Master, your prescription is really good. If we take the medicine according to this prescription, We can really cure these people's diseases after 7 days. Sun Fengqing said, Little Qin is really amazing. You can even see the effect time of my prescription. Qin Haodong said, Old master, your prescription is really unique. It's a pity that Director Wang only gave us 1 day. It's too late to use your prescription. Sun Fengqing said, It seems that Little Qin has a well-thought-out plan. Your prescription must have a miraculous effect, right? Although he said so, in fact he was still a little dissatisfied in his heart. After all, the prescription in his hand was an ancient prescription passed down by his ancestor, the king of medicine, Sun Simiao. It was hard to believe that someone's prescription was better than his. My prescription is called the Sanbao blood cleansing pill. Please help me, master. As Qin Haodong spoke, he handed the prescription in his hand to Sun Fengqing. Sun Fengqing took the prescription and thought about it for a full 10 minutes. Then he said with admiration, Little Qin, I'm convinced. Your prescription is indeed much better than mine. But in my opinion, I'm afraid it will take 3 days to see the effect. 1 day is not enough. Qin Haodong said with a smile, Master, you underestimate my prescription. My Sanbao blood cleansing pill can cure the patient in only half an hour. Sun Fengqing said, That's impossible. Although your prescription is really exquisite, it will take at least 3 days to see the effect. Master, you don't know. Do you know why my prescription is called the Sanbao blood cleansing pill? Sun Fengqing said doubtfully, According to your prescription, more than a dozen medicinal materials have their own uses. I can't see the meaning of the 3 treasures. Qin Haodong said, The 3 main ingredients in my prescription are ginseng, fleece flower, and Panax nodo ginseng. If you want to refine the real Sanbao blood cleansing pill, these 3 main ingredients need to be more than 1,000 years old. Only then can they be called the 3 treasures, and the effect will be more than 10 times better. Little Qin, are you kidding? Nowadays, medicinal materials that are 100 years old are extremely rare. How can you find one that is 1,000 years old? Besides, you need 3 of them at once. Qin Haodong said with a smile, Master, I happen to have them in my hand, so I dare to say that these villagers will be cured within half an hour. The medicinal materials in his hand were all collected from Chio's medicine garden. They were all more than 5,000 years old, but he didn't dare to tell Sun Fengqing for fear of scaring the old man. In fact, there was one thing he didn't say, that was, the Sanbao blood cleansing pill had to be refined with the method of cultivation in order to achieve the best effect. Only in this way could the infected villagers be cured within half an hour. Oh my God, medicinal materials that are more than 1,000 years old. Little Qin, you really surprised me. After the shock, Sun Fengqing looked at Qin Haodong with awe in his eyes. It should be known that medicinal materials that were more than 100 years old were worth more than millions of yuan, let alone medicinal materials that were more than 1,000 years old. It could be seen that he was noble to take out his treasured medicinal materials to treat the villagers. Qin Haodong said, Master, it's just some medicinal materials. They are not as precious as human lives. It's nothing. The heart of a doctor, this is the real heart of a doctor. After sighing, Sun Fengqing seemed to have something to say, but he was too embarrassed to say it. Qin Haodong said, Master, if you have anything to say, just say it. Sun Fengqing smiled a little awkwardly and said, Little Qin, your prescription of the Sanbao blood cleansing pill is much better than the one in my hand even without the medicinal materials that are more than 1,000 years old as the main medicine. I just don't know if I can give it to others. If I can, I'm willing to pay for it. Qin Haodong smiled. It turned out that the old man had taken a fancy to his prescription. Mr. Sun, since you like this prescription, you can take it. Seeing that Qin Haodong readily agreed, Sun Fengqing was overjoyed. Such an ancient prescription was absolutely hard to get. Little Qin, how much do you think this prescription cost? I'll transfer it to you now. Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, Master, this is something that can cure diseases and save people. Don't mention money. I believe you can save more people in your hands. Just take it. Seeing Qin Haodong's straightforwardness, Sun Fengqing didn't hesitate. Dr. Qin, thank you. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. I'm willing to die for you. Qin Haodong said, Mr. Sun, go back and have a rest. I want to find a quiet place to refine medicine so that I can cure these villagers as soon as possible. Sun Fengqing said, Can't you do it in our tent? At most, we can let others go out. My method of refining medicine is a little special. It needs absolute silence. Qin Haodong did not dare to refine medicine in the tent. He was afraid that as soon as he took out the Shinong tripod, others would be scared. After saying goodbye to Sun Fengqing, he walked to a cave not far away. He had observed this place during the day. The cave was not very big, but it was enough for refining medicine. Moreover, it was dry and ventilated, and it was clean. He set up a restriction outside the cave, took out the Shinong tripod, and began to refine the Sanbao blood-cleansing pill. It was late at night, and the others in the tent had nothing to do. They had all fallen asleep. At this time, two figures came out of the two tents and quietly gathered together. It was Dong Anna and Zhao Meng. After the incident with the kite, Dong Anna ignored Zhao Meng, but now she saw that Guotao's but was injured. Although it was not a serious injury, it was definitely not possible for him to do that kind of thing. In the entire expert group, there was no suitable person to seduce except Zhao Meng. She could not bear the loneliness, so she could only send a text message to Zhao Meng and ask him out to meet. Zhao Meng was also extremely lecherous. Since Dong Anna asked him out, he naturally couldn't wait. He immediately ran out of the tent. First, he held Dong Anna in his arms, kissed her hard, and then said, "Where are we going?" Dong Anna thought for a moment. After the leopard incident, she did not dare to go to the foot of the mountain. If she attracted other fierce beasts, it would be a small matter to lose face, but it would be over if she lost her life. "Let's go there. It's safe there." As she spoke, she pointed to a warehouse next to the township government. There were originally 8 rooms in the township government of Wangshan village. Now 7 of them had been turned into isolation rooms, and the last one had been turned into a warehouse. Some of the original office tools were all piled up here. During the day, Dong Anna had already paid attention to it. Seeing that it was the most suitable place to be used as a sex room, she pulled Zhao Meng over. The two of them entered the warehouse and secretly closed the door. As if they had been hungry and thirsty for many years, they began to desperately take off each other's clothes. Soon they had sex. After a few minutes, Zhao Meng felt that something was wrong and said, "Anna, your period hasn't left yet. It's not appropriate, is it?" Dong Anna was charming. She panted and said, "Hurry up, don't stop. I'm not afraid." "What are you afraid of? It's not a big deal for a man to run a red light." Chapter 783. Since Niu Erwa had seen Qin Haodong's pressure, he seemed to have become much more obedient. He leaned against the corner of the wall like a wooden stake and closed his eyes, as if he had fallen asleep. But all of a sudden he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes flashed with red light and he let out a strange roar. Zhang Dezhuang, who was next door, also reacted. His eyes flashed with red light and his expression became more and more violent. He hit his head against the steel guardrail in front of him. Hearing the roars of the people in the tent did not care. After all, this kind of situation had happened before, and it would be stabilized after a while. Moreover, the two of them were locked in a solid stone house, and the windows were reinforced with steel bars so they could not run out at all. Li Laojian turned over and muttered, "Damn you, Niu Erwa. Can't you let me sleep?" Hearing the sound next door, Zhao Meng said worriedly, "Nana, what's wrong with these two guys? Why are they shouting so scary? Why don't we just give up? It's really a bit scary." "Useless things. What are you afraid of? The stone house is so thick. What can they do even if they shout until their throats are broken?" Dong Anna and Guotao did not finish last time, so they were in a dilemma. Now she was still itching, so she naturally did not want to give up halfway. Zhao Meng thought for a moment and felt that Dong Anna was right. These days, Niu Erwa often went crazy, but he would be fine after a while. Thinking of this, he began to move again. But this time it was different from the past. Both Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang keenly felt that the smell of blood emanating from Dong Anna's body did not calm down. On the contrary, it became more and more violent. Zhang Dezhuang struggled desperately to get rid of the ropes on his body. Unfortunately, he had just entered the state of madness for a short time, so he could not get rid of these ropes yet. But Niu Erwa was different. He had already entered the second stage for 3 days. Under the situation of burning his vitality, his physical strength was growing every day. Usually, it would be better, but now the strong smell of blood constantly stimulated him, which made his expression become more and more violent. He suddenly exerted force with his arms, and with a bang, the ropes on his body broke inch by inch. The two people in the next room were twisting their bodies crazily and entering the critical stage of the final sprint. Moreover, they also felt that the stone house was strong. Although the two people next to them were shouting fiercely, they did not care. At the same time, under the cover of their cries, Dong Anna also opened her throat and shouted more and more happily. Zhao Meng moved faster and faster. At the last moment, there was a loud bang from the wall behind him. Then, with a crash, countless stones splashed out and a huge head came out of the wall. It was Nyo Erwa whose eyes were blood red. Oh my god. The two of them were scared out of their wits. They never dreamed that Nyo Erwa, who was in a state of madness, would directly break through the hard stone wall and break out of the stone house. Run? Zhao Ming once again displayed his selfishness. He picked up his pants and rushed out of the warehouse. Dong Anna was not slow and followed closely behind. After Nyo Erwa's head came out of the stone wall, he waved his hands and a big hole appeared in the whole stone wall. He jumped out of the hole and chased after Dong Anna. Help, help. Compared with the leopard last time, Nyo Erwa was more ferocious and terrifying this time. Moreover, he was faster. With a bounce of his legs on the ground, he could run 6 or 7 meters away. After the two of them escaped, they saw that Nyo Erwa was chasing after them. They had no way to escape, so they could only run back to their tents. At this time, the people in the two tents also heard the sound of the stone wall collapsing, and they all sat up. Zhao Ming and Dong Anna ran away separately. Nyo Erwa was stimulated by the smell of blood. He ignored Zhao Ming and chased after Dong Anna. When he came to the tent, he reached out and tore the entire tent apart. In the tent, Su Hui, Cathaway, and Yi Liang had already woken up. When they saw Dong Anna rushing in, they were stunned at first. Then they saw Nyo Erwa's blood-red eyes and immediately understood what had happened. Nyo Erwa did not give anyone time to react at all. He rushed into the tent and reached out to grab Yi Liang. Yi Liang was just a researcher. She could see Nyo Erwa through the cage, but once she faced him face to face, she was immediately scared out of her wits and stood there in a daze. Fortunately, Su Hui reacted quickly. She grabbed her collar and pulled her over so Nyo Erwa missed. Roar! Nyo Erwa did not continue to chase after Yi Liang. His only target was Dong Anna, who was full of blood. There were 4 beds in the room. Su Hui and Yi Liang slept on one side, while Dong Anna and Cathaway slept on the other. Seeing that there was nowhere to escape, Dong Anna hid behind Cathaway. Nyo Erwa roared again and reached out to grab Cathaway's neck. Cathaway did not panic too much. She reached out to grab the backpack next to her and stood in front of Lu Erwa. Although it had a certain blocking effect, Nyo Erwa's strength was too great, and the backpack could not completely stop him. His sharp claws scratched a bloody mark on Cathaway's arm. Cathaway let out a scream. At this moment, Nyo Erwa's other hand reached for her chest. After entering the state of madness, Nyo Erwa's body was harder than steel, and he was extremely powerful. This claw was enough to pierce through Cathaway's chest. Seeing this scene, Su Hui instinctively shouted, "Haodong, come here? Don't panic. I'm coming." Qin Haodong shouted, came in from the other side of the tent, and slapped Nyo Erwa in the face. Although Lu Erwa was very strong, he could not be compared with Qin Haodong at all. He was slapped out of the tent like a cannonball and fell more than 10 meters away. Qin Haodong did not expect that such a big thing would happen while he was refining medicine. He asked Su Hui with concern, "How are you? Are you okay?" Su Hui's face was pale and she was obviously scared. She shook her head and said, "I'm fine. Maybe Cathaway is injured." Qin Haodong looked in the direction of her finger and saw that Cathaway was wearing a black nightdress, which was in sharp contrast with her fair skin. Her chest arched in an exaggerated arc, and the 2 exposed hemispheres were particularly eye-catching. Of course, this was not the most important thing. The important thing was that there was a long wound on her left arm and it was bleeding. At this time, Nyo Erwa, who had been kicked out, roared again and then jumped up from the ground. "Don't worry. I'll deal with it for you later," Qin Haodong said as he jumped out. Now he had to get rid of Nyo Erwa first. Nyo Erwa's body was extremely strong after going mad, and Qin Haodong did not kill him, so he was not seriously injured. He jumped up from the ground and went straight to Sun Fengqing next to him. Sun Bowie was holding a wooden stick in his hand. Seeing that Nyo Erwa was pouncing on his grandfather, he quickly stood in front of Sun Fengqing and waved the wooden stick in his hand to smash it. But Nyo Erwa's body was harder than steel. How could he care about a wooden stick? He raised his left arm and broke the wooden stick into 2 pieces. Then he grabbed Sun Bowie's neck with both hands, opened his mouth and bit his carotid artery. Sun Bowie struggled desperately, but his strength was useless in front of Nyo Erwa, who had gone mad. At this moment, a piece of red silk flew over, wrapped around Nyo Erwa's neck and pulled him back. This piece of red silk used to be the weapon used by Bai Rui of the Hehuan sect. It was called red dust. It was made of the silk of the western region and was extremely tough. At that time, Qin Haodong used the Shen Yuan sword to cut the red dust into 2 pieces. Later, he felt that it was good and might be useful, so he put it in the storage ring and took it out. He moved his wrist very quickly, and in the blink of an eye, Nyo Erwa was firmly tied up again. Nyo Erwa's eyes flashed with red light and he kept roaring. But the red dust was extremely tough. Even if he was 10 times stronger, he could not break free. In case anything happened, Qin Haodong asked Li Laojian to open the door of Zhang Dazhuang's isolation room, and then tied him up with the other half of the red dust. The stone room where Nyo Erwa was located could no longer be used, so Qin Haodong simply locked him in the same room as Zhang Dazhuang. After dealing with these things, he returned to the yard. Wang Zhonglin stood there with a livid face. He had seen clearly what had happened just now. It was different from what had happened during the day. This time, Nyo Erwa had scratched 2 people in succession. They were in big trouble. One of them was a reporter from the Eye of the Earth. How could he explain it to his superiors? The only thing he was glad about was that there was a master like Qin Haodong here. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although his heart was heavy, he still had to do what he had to do. He said to Qin Haodong, "Dr. Qin, thank you so much. Without you, I wouldn't have dared to think about it." "Director Wang, don't stand on ceremony at this time. Hurry up and see the wounded." After that, he gathered everyone in the yard and asked, "Who was injured?" "Dr. Qin, my neck was scratched." Sun Bowie came out. Although Qin Haodong had saved him in time, his neck had still been scratched by Nyo Erwa's sharp hands. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt dizzy. Then he fell to the ground with a plop and fainted. Li Laojian cried, "Oh no, Dr. Sun has been infected." The people who were scratched by Nyo Erwa were like this. They were unconscious at first and then they had a fever and convulsions. Seeing that his grandson had fainted, Sun Fengqing suddenly panicked. He squatted down and began to feel Sun Bowie's pulse. His expression became more and more serious. Indeed, Sun Bowie was also infected with the virus. Qin Haodong came over and said, "Don't worry, Mr. Sunday. I've already refined the medicine." With that, he opened Sun Bowie's mouth and put a small dark red pill into it. Sun Fengqing was no longer as calm as he used to be when it came to his grandson's life. He asked eagerly, "Dr. Qin, will this medicine really work?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry, Mr. Sunday. I'll return you a healthy grandson in half an hour." Hearing the conversation between the two of them, Wang Zhonglin asked in surprise, "Dr. Qin, have you developed a medicine that can cure this virus?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "That's right. This medicine is a pure Chinese medicine preparation called the Sanbao blood cleansing pill. It has a special effect on treating this kind of virus infection. As long as you take one before you enter the state of madness, you will be cured in half an hour." "That's great. Hurry up and give it to Cathaway," Wang Zhonglin said anxiously. In contrast, he was more concerned about Cathaway's safety. If this big reporter from the Eye of the Earth really died here, his position as the director would be over. Qin Haodong nodded and turned to look at Cathaway. But he was surprised to find that Cathaway was standing there intact. She was so graceful that she did not faint at all. Logically speaking, she had been scratched by Nyo Erwa first, so she should have had an attack earlier than Sun Bowie. But now there was no sign of an attack. Chapter 784. Qin, your Huaxia Kung Fu just now was so cool. I really admire you. Seeing that Qin Haodong was staring at her, Cathaway walked over. At this time, the wound on her shoulder had been simply bandaged by Yi Liang. Qin Haodong asked, "Cathaway, do you feel anything special now? For example, dizziness or other discomfort?" "No, I feel very good now. You saved me twice in a row. I'm very excited." Qin Haodong frowned. It was really strange. Could it be that because of the different physiques, the onset of the disease was different between the two people? But it had been 4 or 5 minutes since Sun Bowie fainted. Even if there was a delay, it should be almost the same. "Cathaway, let me feel your pulse and see if you have been infected by the virus." As he spoke, he took Cathaway's hand and put 2 fingers on her pulse. After 2 or 3 minutes, he took back his hand. It was really strange. Sun Bowie was immediately infected by the virus after being touched, but Cathaway's pulse was very stable and there was no sign of infection. At this time, Sun Fengqing also came over and felt Cathaway's pulse. The result was that she was not infected. He frowned and said, "What's going on? Is it possible that the infection of this virus has something to do with gender? It only infects men and not women?" Then he shook his head. This statement was obviously not valid. After all, Zhang Area was still lying in the isolation room. The two of them discussed for a long time and exchanged opinions, but neither of them could find the reason why Cathaway was not infected. Since he couldn't figure it out, Qin Haodong simply stopped thinking about it. He turned around and said, "What happened just now? Why did Nyo Erwa suddenly go crazy?" Su Hui said, we're already asleep. We don't know what happened. At first we heard Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang roaring, and then they chased after Dong Anna. Li Laojian said, we also heard Niu Erwa's roar at the beginning. I thought it was the same as before, but he went crazy this time. Later he made a lot of noise and then Zhao Ming ran back from outside. Hearing his name being called, Zhao Ming lowered his head and wished he could find a place to hide. On the contrary, Dong Anna was relaxed and didn't care at all. Seeing their expressions, Qin Haodong asked with a cold face, what did you two do? Why is Niu Erwa so mad? Zhao Ming lowered his head and said, no, nothing to do. This has nothing to do with us. Qin Haodong said, nothing? The two of you ran out together in the middle of the night, and then Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang went crazy together. Don't tell me it has nothing to do with you? Dong Anna said, to tell you the truth, we just went out to have sex. So what? Don't tell me that a one-night stand will make the patient sick? Before Qin Haodong could speak, Cathaway couldn't help saying, how can you do this? You just got a leopard a few days ago and now you're going out to have sex. Can't you stop for a bit? Dong Anna glared at him. So what if I want to have sex with you? What does it have to do with you? Don't think that I can't tell that you've taken a fancy to this pretty boy. If you have the ability, go out with him. Seeing her unreasonable look, Cathaway was so angry that her face turned red. How can you be like this? Are you being unreasonable? Su Hui said, Dong Anna, it's because of your nonsense that Cathaway and Sun Bowie were injured this time. Don't you feel guilty at all? Dong Anna said angrily, I don't understand. I just want to have sex with you. Why are you so angry? What does that guy's madness have to do with us? Speaking of this, she seemed to want to continue. She continued to shout, you have to understand that the first victim is us. At that time that guy directly broke the wall. We were next door and almost died in their hands. Why don't you sympathize with me at all? Hearing this, Qin Haodong's expression suddenly changed. Are you next door to Niu Erwa? Dong Anna knew that Qin Haodong didn't like her and had lost the intention to seduce him. She said straightforwardly, nonsense. Except for the 2 tents, there is only one empty house. Where else can we go? Are we going to the foot of the mountain to attract the leopard? As soon as she finished speaking, Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped her in the face. Although he did not use his true power in this slap, it was still very heavy. It directly sent Dong Anna flying 3 or 4 meters away. The people around were all shocked. They didn't expect that Qin Haodong would be so angry and hit her. Dong Anna got up from the ground and shouted with disheveled hair, Qin, do you think you are great just because you are rich? Why did you hit me? You be asterisk, how dare you say that it wasn't you who did it this time? You're already on your period but you're still restless. How dare you go to the next room next to Niu Erwa to have sex with him? Haven't you heard that this kind of patient will go crazy when he smells blood? Qin Haodong was furious. If he hadn't come back in time, everyone present would have died in the hands of Niu Erwa. After hearing what he said, the others suddenly realized why Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang had suddenly gone crazy. It turned out that it was all because of Dong Anna. Wang Zhonglin couldn't stand it anymore. Because of this woman's nonsense, not only did she almost lose her official position, but she also put his life on the line just now. He said coldly, Dong Anna, it's too outrageous. Are you here to help or to have sex with him? I will report these things truthfully. That's right. It's too outrageous. You're a disgrace to our expert group. It's not good to have sex with him anywhere, but he came here to have sex with him. He almost killed everyone, the others also condemned him. After all, what had happened just now concerned everyone. If Qin Haodong hadn't come back in time, they would have been infected by the virus and might have been killed by Niu Erwa on the spot. Dong Anna cried, can you blame me? I didn't know that it would make Niu Erwa crazy. She really didn't know about this. Li Laojian had mentioned it that day, but she had been thinking about who to seduce at night and didn't hear it at all. I don't know. Is that the reason? Qin Haodong was obviously still angry. You came here to be gilded, so you should stay here obediently. When you finish the task here, you will be rewarded when you go back. But look at you. What have you done these days? How much trouble have you caused? Seeing that she was pointed out in public, Dong Anna immediately shouted unhappily, Qin Haodong, what right do you have to say that about me? Who are you calling gilded? I think you're still gilded. If you're so capable, why don't you cure these patients? Qin Haodong's words suddenly poked the lungs of several people. Zhao Ming also said, that's right. If you have the ability, why don't you cure these patients? We're all experts. Since you don't have the ability, what right do you have to say that we're gilded? His words were full of confidence. Although Qin Haodong had cured Dong Anna's snake venom before, if there was a serum, Western medicine could also cure it. In his eyes, this did not mean that the medical level was very high. Even the latest medicine that Zhuo Bufan got had no effect on the zombie virus in front of him. He didn't believe that he could come up with an effective way in such a short time. Dong Anna, you shameless TC. You're ungrateful. Have you forgotten who saved you when you went up the mountain? And you, Zhao Meng. I couldn't find you during the treatment, but you made such a big mess at night and almost killed everyone. How dare you stand here and shout? Hearing someone poking their lungs, Dong Anna and Zhao Meng turned around together. They were about to fight back, but they both stood there in a daze. It turned out that the person who spoke was Sun Bowie, who had just been infected by the virus. Zhao Meng. He licked his dry lips and stammered, You're cured? Of course. Do you think the Sanbao blood cleansing pill developed by the medical sage is a joke? One pill completely cured me of the virus. Although Sun Bowie had just fallen into a coma, he was sober and could hear everything that was happening around him clearly. How is this possible? Not only Zhao Meng and Dong Anna were dumbfounded, but even Zhuo Bufan and the others stood there in a daze. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Sun Bowie survived the disaster and was in high spirits. He shouted proudly, Now you know who's gilded, don't you? How dare you insult the medical sage? I really don't know who gave you the courage. Who gave you the face? I've said that what you Western medicine can't do doesn't mean that we Chinese medicine can't do. Now you've seen the level of the medical sage. In just one night he found a way to cure the virus. Seeing Sun Bowie glancing at Zhao Meng and the others, Wang Zhonglin's blood surged. Oh my god, he's cured. He's really cured. We found an effective medicine. Ignoring his identity as the director, he jumped up from the ground and hugged Qin Haodong excitedly. Dr. Qin, thank you so much. You've made a great contribution to our country. Seeing that Qin Haodong had saved Sun Bowie, except for Zhuo Bufan and the others, everyone else cheered excitedly. Although Cathaway was not from Wuxia, she was still very excited. She rushed over and hugged Qin Haodong, kissing him on both sides of his cheeks. Qin, you're so amazing. I want to spread your deeds all over the world and let everyone know the power of Chinese medicine and your excellence. Qin Haodong wiped his cheeks and said awkwardly to Su Hui, Don't mind me. This is the etiquette of the West. It's the same for everyone. No, Qin, I really like you. As she spoke, Cathaway kissed Qin Haodong on the mouth again. After everyone cheered, Wang Zhonglin came over and said, Dr. Qin, how much of this medicine do you have? Can you cure all the other patients? Qin Haodong said, Director Wang, there's one thing I need to explain to you. My Sanbao blood cleansing pill can cure this virus, but it's only limited to the first stage. It can't do anything to Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. Although it could not cure everyone 100%, Wang Zhonglin still said excitedly, This is already very valuable. As long as we can cure the people infected with the virus in the first stage, there will be no second stage in the future. Sun Bowie glanced at Zhuo Bufan and said, It's a pity that Zhang Dezhuang died. If the medical sage had treated him earlier, he would not have entered the second stage. Zhuo Bufan's face was livid with sarcasm, but he had nothing to say. In a sense, he did hurt Zhang Dezhuang. Wang Zhonglin said, Dr. Qin, there's no time to lose. Let's start treating the patients now. I think so too. Chapter 785. In line with the principle of making every possible effort, he gave one to each of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. As expected, half an hour later, the temperature of the other patients all subsided. They opened their eyes again and regained their senses. Their situation was similar to that of Sun Bowie. However, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang, who had entered the second stage of infection, did not get better. They were still in that crazy state. Even so, everyone was already ecstatic. Being able to cure the patients in the first stage of infection was equivalent to conquering the virus. Although it was already late at night, everyone was still cheering and celebrating the milestone victory. To be on the safe side, Yi Liang redid the blood test on the cured infected people. The final result was that there was no more zombie virus in the blood, and they had completely recovered. Wang Zhonglin took Qin Haodong's hand and was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. Dr. Qin, thank you so much this time. You've made a great contribution. Zhuo Bufan, Dong Anna, Zhao Meng and Guotao, who were standing next to him, looked defeated. Qin Haodong's success was not a good thing for them. As long as they reported what they had done in the past few days to the higher-ups, not only would they not get any benefits, but they would also be severely punished when they went back. While everyone was cheering and celebrating, they secretly went to a corner. Zhao Meng said, "Director, what should we do? If the higher-ups know that this boy surnamed Qin has cured the zombie virus, we will not have a good life." Zhuo Bufan's face was livid. There was nothing he could do about it now. His special medicine had no effect on the zombie virus. At this time, Guotao said, "Leader, I have a way. Maybe we can save the current situation." Zhuo Bufan's expression changed. "What's the way? Hurry up and tell me." Guotao said, "The foreign woman just now was also scratched by Niu Erwa, but she has not reacted at all. This shows that she has the ability to resist this virus. If we can test the antibodies to the zombie virus in her blood and make a vaccine, we can suppress Qin Haodong. Through our family's connections, we will definitely win the approval of the higher-ups." Zhuo Bufan's eyes lit up. "You're right. There must be something special in that woman's blood. Only our Western medicine can test the blood to extract antibodies. Chinese medicine practitioners can only be anxious." After making up his mind, he said to Zhao Meng, "Go and discuss it with Cathaway and let her accept our blood test." "Yes, Dean." Now that the four of them were in the same boat, Zhao Meng did not refuse and immediately came to Cathaway. "Miss Cathaway, for safety's sake, I think we should also give you a blood test to determine if you are infected with this zombie virus. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if there is an incubation period." Cathaway didn't think too much about it and immediately accepted this suggestion. Soon, Zhuo Bufan and the others took Cathaway's blood and began to conduct various tests on the equipment. The others went back to sleep after the excitement, but they were still busy. They didn't finish all the tests until dawn. However, the results disappointed them. Cathaway's blood was normal. She was not infected with the zombie virus, nor did they find the antibodies they wanted. Zhuo Bufan sighed and said, "It seems that we can only watch that guy go back and make a great contribution, and we will all be punished." The others also looked very serious. Zhuo Bufan's special medicine had aggravated Zhang Dazhuang's condition, causing him to be transferred from the first stage to the second stage, which made him unable to be treated in the end. After reporting it, they would definitely be held responsible. The rest of the people were also in serious trouble. The most serious ones were Dong Anna and Zhao Meng. Because of the last incident, they almost killed everyone present. If they were reported truthfully, they might even be put in jail. After a moment of silence, Zhao Meng gritted his teeth and said, "Now that things have come to this, we can only fight with Qin Haodong." Dong Anna said, "If you have any ideas, tell me quickly. As long as we can deal with that guy, I'll do anything." She hated Qin Haodong so much that she had completely forgotten that he had saved her life. Zhao Meng said, "Since you can come here with the expert team, you must have some connections. Now it's time to use them. My uncle is the Minister of Health, Gao Haiming, but he usually doesn't allow me to reveal this identity, but now I have to say it." Dong Anna said, "My third uncle is the Deputy Director of the Biochemistry Research Center." Guotao said, "My aunt is the Deputy Director of the Biochemistry Research Center." Dong Anna said, "In addition to my third uncle, my family has many other connections in the capital, but what's the use of that?" A ruthless look flashed across Zhao Meng's face. "Now let's use all these connections and go to the Ministry of Health to complain about Qin Haodong. We'll completely turn the current situation around." Guotao said in surprise, "But that guy didn't make any mistakes. Now he has even treated the people infected with the zombie virus. How can we sue him?" Zhuo Bufan did not speak, but his eyes flickered. He seemed to understand Zhao Meng's intention. Zhao Meng said, "Who said that he didn't make any mistakes? If we say that he did, then he did." With a sinister smile on his face, he lowered his voice and said a few words to them. Dong Anna cried, "Your idea is good. Once it succeeds, we will completely turn the tables, and that guy will be completely trampled under our feet." At this time Zhuo Bufan said, "Your idea is really good. It can turn the current situation around, but you forgot the most important thing. Now that guy has the prescription of the Sanbao blood cleansing pill in his hand, only it can cure these people infected with the zombie virus. If we do this, we will get the credit, but what if there are more infected people? The consequences will be even more serious." Zhao Meng said with a sinister smile, "Director, I've prepared for this." After that, he took out his mobile phone from his pocket and showed them a photo. "Look what this is." One of them leaned over and saw a traditional Chinese medicine prescription on the screen of the mobile phone. The Sanbao blood cleansing pill was written on it. Zhuo Bufan asked in surprise, "How did you get this thing? Is it accurate?" Zhao Meng said, "This is the prescription that old Sun got from Qin Haodong. He fiddled with it all night. When he went to the toilet, I secretly took a picture of it with my mobile phone. Now it comes in handy. Dong Anna asked, but this is a traditional Chinese medicine prescription. We don't know how to use it. Zhuo Bufan thought for a moment and said, this problem can be solved. Look, the prescription is extremely detailed and even the usage and dosage are clearly marked. As long as we find someone who knows traditional Chinese medicine, we can prepare this kind of medicine. Then we can crush it and pour it into the capsule. At that time, the effect will be the same and the prescription will be ours. Guotao cried, that's great. That's a great idea. Let's hurry up. Otherwise, when the Department of Sanity reports the situation to the Ministry of Health, it will be difficult for us. They nodded together, then took out their mobile phones and went to the side to make a call. They used all the connections they could. Because of the excitement, Wang Zhonglin and the others got up early. After breakfast, they said to Qin Haodong and the others, let's stay here for a while. First, we need to observe the later reactions of these villagers to see if there will be any relapses. In addition, we need to observe the reactions of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. I'll go back to the Department of Sanity now and report the situation here truthfully to the higher-ups. I'll ask for your credit. After that, he left Wangshan village and returned to the Department of Sanity of Yundian province. After Wang Zhonglin left, Qin Haodong and Sun Fengqing felt the pulses of the cured villagers again and found that they were in good condition and there was no change. Sun Bowie said excitedly, Dr. Qin, you really won glory for our traditional Chinese medicine this time. When the news gets out, our traditional Chinese medicine will be completely proud. Let's see who dares to say that traditional Chinese medicine can't cure diseases and who dares to say that Western medicine is better than traditional Chinese medicine. A smile also appeared at the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. He didn't care about the rewards from the higher-ups, but he had always pursued the revitalization of traditional Chinese medicine. At this time, Cathaway came over with a laptop. Qin, I'm working on your manuscript. I'm going to tell the world the magic of traditional Chinese medicine and let everyone know your excellence. But there's one thing I don't understand. Why are your photos not clear? As she spoke, she turned on the computer and found a photo of Qin Haodong. Take a look. You're the only one I'm not clear on. The others are all very good. Why is that? Of course, Qin Haodong wouldn't tell her that he had cast an illusion on his face when taking photos. He said with a smile, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with your photography. Cathaway said unconvinced, that's impossible. I've received professional training in photography and won awards in international photography competitions. Besides, if there's something wrong with my photography, other people's photos won't be good either. Why are other people's photos so clear? Qin Haodong spread out his hands and said, I don't know. Maybe I'm too handsome and the camera is jealous. You, of course, Cathaway wouldn't believe this lame reason. She rolled her eyes at Qin Haodong charmingly and was about to say something when several figures appeared on the path. The one walking in the front was a slightly fat middle-aged man, followed by several policemen. They all looked confused and didn't know what the police were doing at this time. Soon, the middle-aged man walked to the gate of the township government and asked Li Laojian to gather everyone together. Then he said formally, Everyone, I'm Lu Song, the office director of the Department of Sanity of Yundian province. Just now, the Department of Sanity received a document from the Ministry of Health to report on the situation of the expert group's treatment of the zombie virus. So fast. I didn't expect Director Wang to be so efficient. Sun Bowie whispered excitedly in Qin Haodong's ear, Dr. Qin, you've made such a great contribution. The higher-ups will definitely reward you heavily. Qin Haodong frowned slightly. He felt that something was wrong. Wang Zhonglin had just left and probably hadn't returned to the Department of Sanity yet. Even if the Ministry of Health wanted to reward him, it would not be so soon. Moreover, if the reward was announced, there was no need to bring the police here. There must be something unknown. Lu Song took out a document with a big red seal from his briefcase and read it out loud. This time, the Ministry of Health set up a team of experts to go to Yundian province to treat the sudden disease. Zhuo Bufan, the director of the Central Hospital of the capital, has made great contributions to the development of a special medicine to treat the zombie virus. The Ministry of Health has awarded him a Special Medical Contribution Award. He has made a first-class contribution once and will be given a reward of 1 million yuan. Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. It was Qin Haodong who had cured the zombie virus. When did it become Zhuo Bufan? The following 3 chapters are for readers who send red envelopes to other websites. Big-Faced Cat 9527's updates. Chapter 786. Sun Bowie immediately shouted, "Director Liu, are you mistaken? It was Dr. Qin Haodong who cured the zombie virus. It has nothing to do with Dr. Zhuo Bufan." Sun Song furrowed his brows. He was not happy to be interrupted. "Little comrade, I'm just conveying the documents. If you have any problem, you can report it to the Ministry of Health. It's not up to me. And please pay attention to your manners. Don't interrupt others at will." Sun Bowie wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Qin Haodong. Sun Song's attitude seemed to be very bad, but what he said was true. This matter came from the Ministry of Health, and it was not up to the director of the Department of Sanity. He didn't know anything and was just carrying out the order. Sun Song continued to read the document in his hand. The following contents were the commendations and rewards for Zhao Meng and the researchers of the Biological Research Center of the Institute of Biochemistry, but Qin Haodong and Sun Fengqing were not mentioned. Why? What's wrong with them? Dr. Qin has made such a great contribution. Why didn't they mention it? Sun Bowie was indignant. At this time, Sun Song continued to read, "The following is the punishment decision for the doctors of traditional Chinese medicine led by Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong ignored Dr. Zhuo Bufan's dissuasion and forcibly treated Zhang Dezhuang in violation of the regulations. The random use of drugs caused the virus to mutate so that Zhang Dezhuang could not be cured in the end. At the same time, Qin Haodong seriously violated the rules of the expert group. When everyone was working on scientific research, he took his girlfriend Su Hui out to travel and had an affair with her. In the end, Lu Erwa went crazy and almost made a big mistake. In the end, he was stopped by Dr. Zhuo Bufan and the others. The above situation has seriously violated the requirements of the Ministry of Health for doctors. After study, the Ministry of Health decided to revoke Qin Haodong's physician's qualification certificate, his title of National Grand Master of Traditional Chinese Medicine, and his Special Medical Contribution Award. The three doctors of traditional Chinese medicine, Sun Fengqing, Sun Bowie, and Su Hui, did not stop Qin Haodong's violation of the rules. On the contrary, they covered up and connived at him. The Ministry of Health has decided to remove them from the expert group and never use them again. The content of this document was not too long. After reading it, everyone felt like they were being struck by lightning. It had completely subverted their understanding. Sun Bowie was so angry that he wanted to fight with Lu Song, but he was pulled back by Qin Haodong. Lu Song was just an office director who read out documents, and it had nothing to do with him. At the same time, it was useless to say anything to him. This kind of thing could be guessed even with the back of one's head. It must be Zhuo Bufan and the others who had done something up there. They had turned black and white upside down and ran to his side to pick the peaches. Sure enough, after Lu Song finished reading the document, Zhuo Bufan and the others immediately cheered, as if they had really cured these zombie virus-infected people. Qin Haodong was enraged. If these people had just robbed him of his medical achievements, it would have been fine. But they had even tried to harm him. His title as the National Grand Master of Chinese Medicine was revoked, and even his physician's qualification certificate was revoked. That was to say, he would never be a legal doctor again. After that, Sun Song put away the document in his hand and came over with the police. He said, "Please leave here immediately according to the notice of the Ministry of Health. Don't interfere with the work of the expert panel." Cathaway listened to the document and immediately stepped forward to defend the injustice. "You're wrong. You're all wrong. It's Dr. Qin who cured these patients. Why do you drive him away? Why do you revoke his physician's qualification certificate? This is the document. You can't argue with me." Sun Song then said to Cathaway, "Miss Cathaway, according to the decision of the higher-ups, your interview has not been approved by our publicity department. It is an illegal interview, so please hand over your interview materials and leave here." Hearing that her interview materials were going to be confiscated, Cathaway suddenly became anxious. "These are all the materials I collected. You have no right to do this. This is interfering with my right to report news." "I'm sorry, Miss Cathaway. Your interview violated our relevant regulations, so we have to confiscate these materials." After that, he waved his hand behind him. Two policemen immediately stepped forward and took away Cathaway's mobile phone, laptop, camera and other related interview equipment. After finding the memory card inside, they destroyed all the materials collected by Cathaway. "You can't do this. It's illegal. I'll complain about you." Cathaway was furious, but there was nothing she could do. After Sun Song and his men destroyed all the interview materials, he returned the camera and other equipment to Cathaway and said, "Miss Cathaway, please leave us." Don't disturb the normal work of the working group. That's outrageous. You people are too barbaric. Cathaway still wanted to quarrel with Sun Song, but Qin Haodong grabbed her arm. Let's go. Since they let us go, there's no need for us to stay here. Cathaway cried, but they destroyed all my interview materials. The truth was recorded there. Zhao Ming came over and said proudly, Miss Cathaway, you worry too much. The truth is with us, and we will also carry out publicity reports. You don't have to worry about it. After that, this guy laughed unscrupulously. Up to now, his plan had undoubtedly been very successful. No, those are all fabricated facts. They are not the truth at all. Qin Haodong stopped the angry Cathaway and said, Forget it, let's go. Cathaway said angrily, Are we just going to let it go? Qin Haodong said, It's useless for us to quarrel here. It won't change the result. Qin Haodong, although you are very annoying, you are quite sensible. Dong Anna raised her chin and walked over. She looked like an old hen who had won. Let me tell you, this is strength. Even if you don't accept it, so what? You will still be kicked out of the expert group. Guotao also came over with a sinister smile. Qin Haodong, I heard that you have a nickname, Medical Sage. Are you dumbfounded now? From now on you can't even be a doctor. How can you be called Medical Sage? Seeing that these guys were insulting Qin Haodong, Sun Bowie stepped forward and was about to fight with them. Qin Haodong quickly pulled him back and said, Don't be impulsive. These people may be waiting to send us to prison. Seeing that Qin Haodong was so rational, a look of disappointment flashed across Zhao Ming's face. He knew that Qin Haodong knew some kung fu. As long as he hit someone, the police behind him would immediately send him to prison. In this way there was no risk of their conspiracy being exposed. Qin Haodong glanced at them and said lightly, Do you think you've won? Dong Anna said proudly, Isn't it? The Ministry of Health's notice has been issued. This is the final result. The final result? Qin Haodong smiled perfectly. It's still far from it. The final result will be very exciting for you. After that, he was about to leave with a few people. Wait a minute. Zhao Ming stopped Qin Haodong and said, We've brought the best police equipment. Take your red cloth away. The policeman who came with Lu Song did bring a few handcuffs and shackles made of fine steel. They put them on Niu Erhua and Zhang Dezhuang, and untied the 2 pieces of 10 meters of mortal world and returned them to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong knew that these people didn't want to have anything to do with him now. He put away the 10 feet of mortal world and strode down the mountain with a few people. Sun Bowie said indignantly, Dr. Qin, are we just going to tolerate it? Qin Haodong smiled and said, This is not tolerance. This is called retreating in order to advance. Don't worry, their pride is only temporary. It's not that they won't take revenge. Sun Fengqing said, Bowie, you're a few years older than little Qin. Why can't you calm down? With your hot temper, when will you be able to achieve great things? Sun Bowie said, But now we've all been kicked out of the expert group. Niu Erhua and Zhang Dezhuang don't have long lives. When they die, Zhuo Bufan and the others will succeed, and our credit will be completely taken away. Dr. Qin cured the zombie virus. Now, not only did he not get any reward, but his medical qualification has also been revoked. Is there any justice in this? Qin Haodong said, It's not as simple as you think. Sun Bowie asked in surprise, Dr. Qin, is there any secret hidden in it? Qin Haodong said, Have you ever thought that the people of Oxhorn Village have lived here for so many years, but why have they never found this virus before? Why did it suddenly break out now? Sun Bowie said, What's so strange about that? Maybe the people in their village have not been bitten by bats before, or maybe the virus carried by bats has mutated recently. Qin Haodong said, If it's only one thing, your explanation is reasonable. But why were you and Cathaway scratched by Niu Erhua at the same time? You were infected with the virus, but she was fine. Sun Bowie scratched his head and said, I don't know. Cathaway said, Qin, I'm also very confused. Do you know why? Qin Haodong said, Have you ever heard of the latest weapon called a genetic bomb? Sun Bowie asked in surprise, Genetic bomb? I've never heard of it. It sounds like a name for a weapon. What does it have to do with us doctors? As a well-known reporter of the Eye of the World, Cathaway had seen a lot over the years. She said, I know a little about the genetic bomb. It's called a bomb, but it's actually a kind of biochemical weapon. After this kind of bomb is thrown, it will release special poisonous gas. Sun Bowie asked, Isn't it a poisonous gas bomb? Cathaway said, It's different from ordinary poisonous gas bombs. The poisonous gas released by the genetic bomb contains genetic code. It uses genetic targeting technology and can only be used on people with specific genes. For example, if I take the genes of your Sun family and use them to make a genetic bomb, then this bomb will only hurt your family and no one else. Oh my god, there's such a high-tech thing. Sun Bowie was also a very smart person. When he heard this, he understood what Qin Haodong meant. He said, Dr. Qin, do you mean that this zombie virus only targets us yellow people and has no effect on white people like Cathaway? Qin Haodong nodded and said, this is the only explanation I can find at present. Maybe it's aimed at the whole yellow race, or maybe it's only aimed at us Wuxia people. The effective group of this virus has not been finally determined. As for the genetic bomb, he had heard Hu Shaoxian mention it in a chat. In the famous oil war of the last century, M country had planned to use this kind of genetic targeting bomb on the leader of an oil country and behead his whole family. Although it was cancelled later due to other reasons, it turned out that this kind of technology was indeed very mature and had been put into actual combat. Chapter 787. Cathaway seemed to be suddenly enlightened. She exclaimed, do you mean that this is not a natural disaster but a man-made disaster? The virus in Nyo Erwa's body was injected artificially? Qin Haodong said, you're only half right. Nyo Erwa was indeed infected with the virus after being bitten by a bat, but it's very likely that the virus was added to the bat, so that it can be more hidden. Su Hui said, in other words, there's someone behind the zombie virus? Qin Haodong said, I think so. The person behind the scenes has gone through so much trouble. He definitely won't stop so easily. He will definitely do something else. Su Hui's expression changed. In that case, this is a conspiracy against Wuxia. Should we report it to the authorities? Sun Bowie said angrily, they've already driven us out of the expert group. Why should we tell them? Let them reap what they sow, Sun Fengqing scolded, nonsense. This kind of big event endangers the entire Wuxia nation. How can we be impulsive because of personal honor? Seeing that his grandfather was angry, Sun Bowie shut his mouth in embarrassment and did not dare to say anything more. Qin Haodong said, this matter is indeed very important, but it's also my personal speculation. There's no substantial evidence at present. I'm afraid that the higher-ups won't listen to it even if I tell them. They'll only think that we're being alarmist after being expelled from the expert group. Well, I'll call Minister Xiao and mention this matter to him. I'll do my best. As soon as he finished speaking, the phone in his pocket rang. He took it out and saw that it was Xiao Weiman. After the phone was connected, Xiao Weiman said, Little Qin, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. You've been wronged. Qin Haodong's heart warmed. Minister Xiao, do you know the truth? Xiao Weiman said, Little Qin, I believe in you. I know you're not the kind of person who doesn't know what's important. There must be someone behind this. Wang Zhonglin also called me just now and told me about the treatment of the zombie virus. After knowing that it was Xiao Weiman who called, Sun Bowie had been listening attentively. It was quiet in the mountain, so he heard most of the conversation. He shouted, Minister Xiao, you must help Dr. Qin. He made a great contribution this time, but his physician's qualification certificate was revoked. It's unreasonable. Qin Haodong was also a little surprised. Since Xiao Weiman trusted him, why did the Ministry of Health still issue that notice? Xiao Weiman sighed and said, Dr. Qin, I'm really sorry. I can't help you with this matter. This matter has a great impact. I was adjusted this morning. Now I'm not in charge of medical treatment but logistics. Only then did Qin Haodong understand what was going on. It seemed that the power behind Zhao Meng and Dong Anna was quite strong. He said, Minister Xiao, it seems that I have implicated you. Xiao Weiman sighed and said, I'm fine. Although the scope of my business has been adjusted, I'm still the deputy minister. But you are different. Now that your physician's qualification certificate has been revoked, your future work will be affected. If I hadn't selected you to the expert group, this wouldn't have happened. Speaking of which, I'm sorry. Although he felt sorry for Qin Haodong, an excellent doctor, in fact, his heart was full of loneliness. Originally, as the first deputy minister of the Ministry of Health, he was the most powerful candidate for the next minister of the Ministry of Health. But after this incident, he had become the last deputy minister, and his hope had become extremely slim. Qin Haodong sneered and said, Minister Xiao, don't worry. Evil will not prevail over good. In a few days you will see a different result. Xiao Weiman thought that Qin Haodong was just comforting him, so he didn't continue the topic. He asked with concern, Little Qin, what do you want to do next? Since we've arrived in Yundian province, I'm going to take Su Hui to Myanmar for a few days. Xiao Weiman said, "That's good. Let's go and relax." "Minister Xiao, I have one more thing to report to you." Qin Haodong told him his speculation and finally said, "I don't think this virus incident is simple. There must be someone behind it." Xiao Weiman was shocked at first and then he said, "Little Qin, I'll report this matter to the higher-ups. But as you guessed, even if we tell them, no one will believe it. They will think that it's a rumor made up after our failure." Qin Haodong said, "We'll do our best and leave it to fate. Anyway, I have the Sanbao blood-cleansing pill in my hand now, so those people can't cause too much trouble." The two of them hung up the phone. Sun Fengqing sighed and said, "I didn't expect things to turn out like this." Qin Haodong comforted him, "Mr. Sun, it's only temporary. Those people will soon be punished." Sun Bowie said, "Dr. Qin, there's something I don't understand. These people drove you out of the medical team. What if the zombie virus breaks out again? How can they treat it?" Su Hui also said, "Yes, they told the higher-ups that Zhuo Bufan cured the zombie virus. How can Zhuo Bufan explain this to the public? If there are more cases, how can he treat it? If he can't treat it, won't he be shooting himself in the foot?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "I don't know either. Maybe they have some tricks that we don't know about." Cathaway blinked her big beautiful eyes and said, "Qin, maybe I can give you the answer." Qin Haodong said doubtfully, "Oh? Tell me about it." "I can't tell you now." Cathaway smiled slyly and said, "I'm an excellent reporter. They thought that it would be fine if they deleted the information I recorded. In fact, I had already prepared a backup plan. When I first arrived in Wangshan village, that guy named Zhao Meng tried to get close to me, but I didn't agree at that time. Instead, I installed a miniature camera on him and recorded everything they did these days. But these videos have all been sent to my mailbox through the internet. I have to go back and sort them out before I can send them to you. I guess you will be able to find the answer you want from them. Cathaway, you're really amazing. You're not a reporter but a secret agent." Qin Haodong was very excited when he heard that there were videos. On the one hand, he didn't want to lose his physician's qualification certificate, and on the other hand, he didn't want Xiao Weiman to be implicated because of him. If he could get these videos, it would undoubtedly be the most powerful weapon when he fought back in the future. Cathaway looked at him and said, "Then how are you going to thank me?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "You won't ask me to marry you, will you? I've already promised to someone else, so I can't marry you anymore." Cathaway said with a smile, "Well, I really wanted to make this request. Let me think about it again. I'll tell you when I've made up my mind." Qin Haodong said, "Okay, you've helped me so much. As long as you make a request, I will definitely satisfy you." Sun Bowie said, "Dr. Qin, with these videos, can we go to the capital to find Minister Xiao and expose the truth about Zhuo Bufan and the others?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "You're too naive. Zhao Meng and the others can confuse black and white, and the hidden power behind them is extremely terrible. Even if we take out these videos now, I'm afraid they will be treasured and it's impossible for them to be made public." Sun Bowie said, "Then what should we do? Why don't we just post it on the internet? Those people won't be able to suppress it even if they want to." Qin Haodong said, "This matter is of great importance. If we directly post it on the internet, it will definitely cause great harm to the reputation of Wuxia. Don't worry. Wait for a while. When the time is right, these videos will play a great role." Sun Fengqing sighed and said, "Dr. Qin, I really admire your magnanimity and indifference." "Mr. Sun, you must be joking." Seeing that they were about to reach the foot of the mountain, Qin Haodong asked, "Mr. Sun, where are you going? Are you going back to the Medicine King Clinic?" Sun Fengqing said, "It's rare for me to come out. I don't want to go back for the time being. I'm going to M country." Qin Haodong said in surprise, "Why do you suddenly want to go to M country?" Sun Fengqing said, "I have a son and a daughter, but unfortunately, neither of them is interested in traditional Chinese medicine. They just like doing business. After graduating from college, both of them went to M country where the business is doing well. I thought that the inheritance of traditional Chinese medicine in the Medicine King family would be cut off in my hands. Fortunately, I had this grandson. He has some talent in medicine, but he's too proud." Sun Bowie said, "Grandpa, I'm not arrogant. Dr. Qin is the medical sage. I can't compare with him, but compared with others, my medical skills are still very good." Sun Fengqing looked at his grandson with a doting smile and said, "His parents have been in M country. They called us many times to ask us to go there, but we never had time. Since I'm out this time, I'll go and have a look. I'm old now. If I don't go there now, I may not have a chance in the future." Cathaway said, "Mr. Sun, let's go together. I'm also going to M country. I can be your guide. Sun Fengqing said with a smile, of course. Neither of us is good at English. We can save a lot of trouble with you as our interpreter. Qin Haodong said to Cathaway, by the way, can you put this matter off for a while and wait for the final result to come out in a few days? Now that this matter was reported, it would be a scandal in Wuxia, which was naturally not what he wanted to see. Cathaway blinked her big eyes and said mischievously, well, since Qin Haodong has spoken, I'll listen to you. When she first met Qin Haodong, she was just curious. Later, after being saved twice, she had a good impression of this handsome young man. After arriving at the foot of the mountain, the five of them divided into two groups. The Sun family and Cathaway went straight to the airport, ready to fly to M country. Qin Haodong found a place with no one around. The two of them directly stepped on the flying sword and flew straight in the direction of Myanmar. Some time ago he had invested in building a jade mine there. After it was put into production he had never been there. Now was a good time to go and have a look. In the Jade Gang of Myanmar, Qin Haodong's jade mine had always been managed by Lu Hongquan, the leader of the Jade Gang. Although Qin Haodong had never come to visit him during this period of time, he was in awe of this young man and did his best. He did not dare to be careless at all. Today he had just finished dealing with the affairs of the gang and was about to go to the jade mine. However, he found that Qin Haodong suddenly appeared in front of him with a smile. Mr. Qin, when did you come? Why didn't you call in advance? I could have sent someone to pick you up. Qin Haodong said, there's no need to make it so troublesome. I just brought my girlfriend here to have fun and have a look at the jade mine. Lu Hongquan said, Mr. Qin, I'm going to the jade mine. Let's go together. Qin Haodong nodded and got in Lu Hongquan's off-road vehicle with Su Hui. The three of them rushed to the jade mine together. Chapter 788. Qin Haodong inspected his jade mine. The jade reserves here were indeed astonishing, and the quality was excellent, not inferior to the old pit of Pakant at all. He chose a few places with the most abundant spiritual qi and pointed them out to Lu Hongquan, telling him that they should focus on mining. Then he left the jade mine with Su Hui and began to wander around the local area, enjoying the scenery and delicious food. In the evening, the two of them returned to the residence prepared by Lu Hongquan. Su Hui habitually took out her mobile phone, swiped it a few times and shouted angrily, Haodong, look, the shameless Zhuo Bufan is stealing your results. Qin Haodong looked at Su Hui's mobile phone and saw Zhuo Bufan in a suit and leather shoes, wearing glasses, looking like an expert. Sitting opposite him was a beautiful female host with short hair. She was Rose, the most famous host of Wuxia interview programs. She was doing a special interview with Zhuo Bufan. Rose asked, Professor Zhuo, I heard that the virus recently discovered is the first one in the world. There was no effective medicine or vaccine before. Is that true? Zhuo Bufan said, well, this virus has a strong infectivity and vitality. It has never been discovered before. Rose asked, since there has never been any record of this virus before, how did you overcome this difficulty? Zhuo Bufan said, I have to start with my experience. I once obtained a double bachelor's degree in M country and have a deep understanding of viruses and internal medicine. As the saying goes, thick accumulation leads to thin growth. It is precisely because of these many years of deep accumulation that I have been able to achieve what I have today. This kind of virus is an insurmountable mountain for others, but it is not too difficult for me. Of course, this is not my own credit. I also have an excellent team behind my success. People like Dong Anna, Zhao Meng and Guotao are all extremely rare young talents. They have helped me a lot in the process of virus research. Shameless. You're too shameless. Su Hui was originally an extremely quiet woman, but when she saw Zhuo Bufan's shameless face, she couldn't help swearing. She was so angry that she was about to turn off her phone, but Qin Haodong stopped her. Hui, there's no need to be angry with such people. The higher they stand, the harder they fall. The more arrogant they are, the harder they will be slapped in the face. Sooner or later, they will be humiliated. In the video, Rose asked again, Professor Zhuo, what is the name of the special medicine developed by your excellent team? Zhuo Bufan said, because the effect of this medicine is excellent, we gave it a resounding name, Super Antivirus Capsule. Rose asked, you said that the effect of this medicine is quite good. How good is it? Can you let everyone have a direct experience? Zhuo Bufan said, half an hour. Anyone infected with this virus will only need half an hour to recover after taking our Super Antivirus Capsule. There will be no difference from before the infection, and there will be no side effects. This time, Wuxia had made a lot of publicity for this matter. The interview lasted for a full 10 minutes, followed by an interview with Zhao Meng, Guo and Dong Anna. As for Yi Liang and Wang Aimin, they were also left out. After the video ended, Su Hui angrily turned off her phone and cursed again. Shameless. At this time, Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. It was Cathaway. Dear Qin, I have arrived in M country. Have you seen the video on the internet just now? Qin Haodong said, I just finished. Qin, these people stole your fruits of labor. I just took a brief look at the video I collected. These people stole the prescription of the Sanbao blood cleansing pill from Mr. Sun, ground it into powder and then made it into a capsule. It's the super antivirus capsule they mentioned. It's really shameless. Oh, I see. Only then did Qin Haodong understand why these people had the confidence to kick him out. It turned out that they had secretly obtained the prescription of the Sanbao blood cleansing pill. But so what? His Sanbao blood cleansing pill was not something that anyone could refine. Cathaway, send me a copy of the video. Qin, I've already sent it to your mailbox. Well, I'll take a look first. Let's talk when I have time. As Qin Haodong spoke, he found a laptop, opened his mailbox and retrieved the video file sent by Cathaway. The file was very large and it almost recorded what they had done in Wangshan village these days. Qin Haodong adjusted the speed of playing the file to the fastest. With his powerful spirit, it did not seem to be difficult for him. When Zhuo Bufan and the others plotted to steal the blood revival pill and then reverse the truth through their relationship, he slowed down the video and slowly listened to their conversation. After watching the whole video, he basically understood the cause and effect of this matter clearly. Su Hui said angrily, how can there be such shameless people in this world? They stole your things and then turned around to slander you. You even lost your physician's qualification certificate. Qin Haodong looked indifferent. In this world, the truth can't be fake and the falsehood can't be real. Believe me, they won't be proud for long. After that, he took his mobile phone and told Lin Momo and the others that he was safe. He told them that he had something to ask Su Hui, and then directly turned off his phone. Su Hui asked in surprise, what are you doing? Qin Haodong said with a smile, I guess there will be more people looking for me in a few days. Turn off the phone. Let's have a good time together. As he spoke, he raised his hand and set up a few restrictions in the room. Then he picked Su Hui up and walked to the big bed in the inner room. They haven't had a chance to share a bed for many days. Now the chance is here. In the tent in front of the government of Wangshan village, Zhuo Bufan and the others finished recording the interview and began to celebrate. After Qin Haodong left, the infected people who had been treated by him also recovered and went home. Li Laozhen took the 5 villagers who stayed behind to live in the empty isolation room. Wang Aimin and Yi Liang had been transferred back to the capital. Only Zhuo Bufan, Dong Anna, Zhao Meng and Guo were left in the original 10-person expert group. In their opinion, the rest had become extremely simple. They only needed to pick the peaches. There was no need for others at all. Zhuo Bufan's face was red and he was in high spirits. He raised the wine glass in his hand and said, Everyone, our success today is due to everyone's efforts. Let's drink to our victory. The few of them cheered loudly and drained their cups of wine in one gulp. Zhao Meng put down his wine glass and said excitedly, with this credit, after we return to the capital, our official careers will definitely be smooth sailing. No one can stop us. Dong Anna said, when we go back we will apply for a patent for this super antivirus capsule. Everyone will be rich. At that time we will also buy a private plane. It must be 10 times better than that guy's. Although he had driven Qin Haodong away, this guy still took it to heart. The more they talked, the more excited they became. They raised their glasses again and toasted, as if the dream of promotion and wealth was already within reach. Not far from Oxhorn village there was a small village, but it already belonged to Myanmar. In a house in the east of the village, a white man in his 50s was sitting on the sofa. He was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and was leisurely tasting the red wine in his glass. Opposite him, a man in black stood with his hands down. The white man asked, Cassiano, how is it going in Wuxia? The man in black said, Professor Jin's just this morning that guy surnamed Qin cured the infected person. But for some reason he has been expelled from the expert group by the Wuxia government. Now there are only a few useless people left in Wangshan village who don't know anything. Qin Haodong is really troublesome. It took me a long time to develop this zombie virus. After countless experiments there was almost no cure. I didn't expect this guy to be able to cure it. I really don't know how he did it. Cassiano said, Professor Jins, there's one thing I don't quite understand. Since you want to spread this virus in Wuxia, why didn't you choose a crowded big city? Instead you chose such a remote mountain village. Jin said, "You're a combatant, so you don't know much about viruses. Although the zombie virus I developed is powerful, the conditions are very strict. It can only survive on the body of a bat. The bat that bit Nyo Erwa was specially trained by me, so it carried this zombie virus. It's not that I don't want to go to a crowded big city, but bats live in the mountains. If I take the trained bats to a big city alone, it will soon arouse the Wuxia government's vigilance." Cassiano nodded and said, "Professor Jins, what should we do now?" Jins took another sip of red wine. After a moment of silence he said, "Qin Haodong cured my zombie virus, but I don't know what method he used and whether it can be mass-produced. So we have to make some trouble for Wuxia and see if there are any defects in his treatment method." As he spoke, he took out a small transparent bottle from his pocket, which contained pink powder. "Take this with you and give it to the 2 infected people." "Got it, Professor. I'll do it now." After that, Cassiano left with the small bottle. After Zhuo Bufan and the others celebrated in front of the Wangshan village government, he went back to his tent alone. Dong Anna even left Guo and Zhao Meng behind. The 3 of them played a threesome. Just as they were having fun, a black shadow appeared in the courtyard. It was Cassiano, who had just been in Burma. Hearing the voice coming from the tent, Cassiano sneered and said, "These Wuxia people are really good at playing. Then I'll let you have a good time." After that, he went to the front of the isolation room like a ghost and found the detention room of Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. He took out the small transparent bottle from his pocket. According to Jin's instructions, he divided the powder into 2 halves and sprinkled it on Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. Originally, Lu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang were as dull as wooden stakes, but when they smelled the pink powder, their eyes instantly turned red and they let out an earth-shattering roar. Nyo Erwa suddenly exerted force with his arms. With a crack, he broke the steel handcuffs on his hands into 2 pieces, and then the shackles on his feet were also torn into 2 pieces. Zhang Dezhuang, who was next to him, was no exception. It was as if he had suddenly become extremely powerful. The steel handcuffs and shackles could not bind them at all. Seeing that he had succeeded, Cassiano smiled again and disappeared from where he was. With the experience from last time, Li Laozhen and the others immediately realized that something was wrong when they heard the roars of Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. They came out of the room next door with wooden sticks in their hands to check the situation. As soon as they arrived at the yard, they heard 2 loud bangs. Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang broke through the wall of the isolation room at the same time and rushed out. The 2 of them were like zombies who had broken through the shackles, roaring at the moon in the sky. Chapter 789. These 2 guys ran out again. Hurry up and catch them. Li Laozhen was the last to rush out, but he was holding a net gun in his hand. After the previous 2 incidents, this was specially equipped for him by the county government. After that, he pulled the trigger at Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang respectively. After 2 gunshots, 2 specially made large nets covered Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. Seeing that the 2 people were trapped, Li Laozhen and the others breathed a sigh of relief. But before they could go forward to tie them up, Nyo Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang let out a roar. They grabbed the big net with their hands and gently pulled it. The 2 nets, which were originally extremely tough, were immediately torn apart like pieces of paper. Li Laozhen was shocked. These 2 guys seemed to be more than twice as powerful as before. Nyo Erwa seemed to have felt that the big net just now was made by Li Laozhen. His eyes flashed with red light and he suddenly pounced on him. "Help, Dr. Qin, hurry up and save me." Feeling the danger, the first person Li Laozhen thought of was Qin Haodong. In the past 2 crises, it was Qin Haodong who subdued the raging monster, so he instinctively called for help from Qin Haodong. However, Qin Haodong had already been expelled from the expert group. No one would come to save him. Instead, 2 villagers who were on good terms with him rushed up and waved their wooden sticks at Nyo Erwa. Nyo Erwa waved his 2 big hands with black hair and gently grabbed both sides. The wooden stick, which was as thick as a bowl, was broken into 2 pieces like a hemp stick. Seeing that this guy was so fierce, the 2 villagers quickly turned around and ran away. Fortunately, Nyo Erwa's eyes flashed with red light. He didn't seem to be interested in these people. He turned around and rushed to the tent where Dong Anna and the others were. Zhang Dezhuang, who was next to him, did the same. He quickly jumped to the tent because there was a bloody smell that made them go crazy. Ever since they went up the mountain, Dong Anna had been unhappy. The first time she made an appointment with Guo, she attracted a leopard. The second time, Nyo Erwa broke through the wall, causing them to give up halfway. Today she had held back all her energy. She had to have a good time. Guo and Zhao Meng went into battle together. The 3 of them were having a great time in the tent. They didn't care about the shouts of Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang. After all, when the police put handcuffs and shackles on the two of them, they saw clearly that they were made of stainless steel. Even an elephant couldn't break free. But just when they were enjoying themselves, the tent was suddenly torn open from the outside, and then Niu Erwa's blood-red eyes were exposed in front of the three of them. Not good, they're coming out again. A few of them shouted, jumped up from the ground and ran. Although Dong Anna was a woman, her reaction speed was extremely fast. She immediately rushed toward the entrance of the tent. In the past few times she had encountered danger, she had relied on her agile reaction to avoid danger, but this time her good luck had obviously run out. Just as she ran to the entrance of the tent, she bumped into Zhang Dezhuang, who had rushed in. Qin Haodong, help. At this critical moment, she also thought of Qin Haodong. In the past, when a crisis broke out, only Qin Haodong could subdue these two monsters. Unfortunately, she had brought this upon herself. Qin Haodong had been driven away by her in every possible way. Zhang Dezhuang was already close at hand. It was too late for her to turn back and escape. She saw a big hand covered with black hair penetrate her chest with a bang, and then she lost consciousness. Seeing that Dong Anna was dead, Guotao and Zhao Meng were scared out of their wits. They immediately rushed out from both sides of the tent. In contrast, Guotao's luck was a little worse. Niu Erwa scratched his back, leaving a bright red mark. Fortunately, Niu Erwa did not chase after him. Attracted by the smell of blood, he also rushed toward Dong Anna, who was lying in a pool of blood. Although the others saw the tragedy happen, no one dared to come forward to stop it. After all, these two guys were too fierce and they couldn't subdue them at all. After biting Dong Anna's body for a while, Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang jumped out of the tent and rushed into the forest. Seeing that the two guys had left, the people hiding in various corners crawled out of their hiding places. Li Laozhen, who was in a panic, immediately took out his mobile phone and urgently reported what had happened here to the county leaders, asking them to send armed police to arrest Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang, who had escaped. Zhuo Bufan, Zhao Meng and Guotao walked to the front of the tent. When they saw Dong Anna, who was badly mutilated, they couldn't help retching. At the same time, they were secretly glad that they hadn't been caught by the monster. But at this moment, Guotao's vision went black, and then he fell to the ground with a plop. The wound that Niu Erwa had scratched was infected. Zhuo Bufan hurriedly shouted to Zhao Meng, "Where's the medicine? Hurry up and get our super antiviral capsule." Zhao Meng answered and rushed into their tent. He took out a bottle of medicine and rushed out. This was the Sanbao blood cleansing pill that they had found a famous old Chinese medicine practitioner to make today, and then they poured it into this kind of capsule. They clearly saw the process of Qin Haodong saving Guotao. Zhao Meng opened Guotao's mouth and poured the capsule into his mouth. After that, everyone gathered around Guotao and waited for him to wake up. When Qin Haodong treated the villagers last time, the most seriously ill-infected person recovered in half an hour at most. Because Sun Bowie had been infected for a short time, it only took him more than 10 minutes to recover. Because of this, they felt that Guotao would not need too much time. But 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, and Guotao still did not respond. Zhuo Bufan looked at Zhao Meng. "What's going on?" Zhao Meng, he licked his lips and said, "Don't worry, there's no problem with our medicine. He will wake up in half an hour." However, as time passed, 40 minutes had passed, and Guotao still showed no signs of waking up. Zhuo Bufan grabbed Zhao Meng's collar and said with blood-red eyes, "Didn't you promise me that this is the prescription that Qin Haodong used? Why isn't this medicine working?" Everything they had done seemed to have achieved unprecedented success, but the final cornerstone was still the prescription in their hands. If they could continue to cure the zombie virus, nothing would happen and everyone would be happy. Once they were helpless against the zombie virus, what awaited them would be eternal damnation. Zhao Meng said, "Director, I don't know what's going on either. This is indeed the prescription I got from Old Sun, and it was written by Qin Haodong himself. Then why didn't it work?" Zhao Meng thought for a moment and said, "It may be that Guotao's physique is special. After all, every medicine is not 100% effective on people. Maybe it's just ineffective on him." Zhuo Bufan thought for a moment and felt that what Zhao Meng said made sense. But now Guotao had fallen here. With his family background, if he could not cure him, the consequences would be extremely serious. At this moment, the cell phone in Li Laogan's hand rang. 2 minutes later, he hung up the phone with a heavy expression and said eagerly to Zhuo Bufan, "Mr. Zhuo, the county government just called. After Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang escaped from us, they went directly to Dewang village, which is not far away. There, they bit and scratched 18 villagers in succession, and then they were killed by the armed police who arrived. Now the 18 villagers have been infected with the zombie virus and are in a high fever coma. Please lead the expert team to treat them immediately. Okay. Zhuo Bufan agreed hesitantly. He was no longer as high-spirited as he was in the interview program on TV. At this time he did not know if this medicine would work on other people. If he could successfully treat the 18 injured villagers, even if he could not cure Guotao, it would be a special situation. But if he could not treat these 18 people, the consequences would be unimaginable. The situation was urgent. Li Laozhen directly called a few strong villagers to escort Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng to the nearby Dawang village overnight with flashlights. Fortunately, Dawang village was not too far from the township government, about 1 kilometer. 2 hours later they walked into the village together. There were broken walls everywhere. It could be seen that Niu Erwa and Zhang Dezhuang had caused a lot of damage here. After entering the village, Li Laozhen took them to the village office of Dawang village. At this time, the place was completely under the control of the armed police. After explaining their identities they walked in. On a large brick bed in the village office, 18 infected villagers were lying side by side. The village chief of Dawang village was a skinny old man in his 60s. When he saw Mr. Li, he immediately came up to him and said, "Village chief, this time our Dawang village is in trouble. Please ask the experts to save us injured villagers." Li Laozhen said, "Old Wang, don't worry. The experts are here." After that, he turned to Zhuo Bufan and said, "Mr. Zhuo, hurry up and save them." He looked at Zhuo Bufan with cold and sarcastic eyes. As a frontline worker, he knew very well who had saved the previous infected people. But as a small village chief, his words carried little weight, and he could do nothing about the decision made by the higher-ups. Zhuo Bufan gritted his teeth and went to the big brick bed with Zhao Meng. They poured the super antivirus capsules they had brought into the 18 villagers one by one. After taking the medicine, all that was left was to wait. As time went by, the infected villagers did not respond at all. Zhuo Bufan and Zhao Meng's hearts gradually sank to the bottom. An hour later, the super antivirus capsules they had made did not have any effect. The infected villagers were still in a coma and feverish state. Li Laozhen glared at Zhuo Bufan fiercely, and then went out with his mobile phone to report the truth to the higher-ups. He did not dare to hide such a big thing. At 4:00 in the morning, the whole capital was in the darkness before dawn, but the meeting room of the Ministry of Health was brightly lit. The higher-ups of the Ministry of Health were all gathered here for a meeting. Gao Haiming, the Minister of the Ministry of Health, was sitting in the middle. At this time, his face was extremely gloomy. He had thought that the zombie virus had been successfully solved this time, but he did not expect that as soon as he reported this matter to the whole of Wuxia, such a big thing would happen. It was several times more serious than before. The other senior members sitting around were all baffled. They didn't know why the minister had summoned them here for a meeting in the middle of the night. But one thing was certain. Something big must have happened. Xiao Weiman was sitting at the end of the meeting room. Although he did not know what had happened, he had a hunch that since Gao Haiming was so nervous, it must have something to do with the zombie virus in Wangshan village. Sure enough, after everyone arrived, Gao Haiming said with a gloomy expression, "Everyone, just now there was another major accident in Wangshan village in Yundian province. Please see the facts from the Department of Sanity of Yundian province for details." After that, he asked the secretary to turn on the projector and project a facts report on the big screen. Everyone looked in the direction of the projection. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.